good. All right, come to order, please. Board members. We're going to open the meeting of the Planning Board on November
13th.
This says first.
13th.
November 13th. It's like, wait. Do that. I got it. I'm just looking at the staff report too closely. November 13th, 2017 at 6:03. We have an agenda before us. The agenda that you just got handed out had one change. We moved one item up. It should be in the right place on the agenda, Catherine? Okay.
Which is it?
So
What
if
is
somebody
it?
would like to
I'll make that motion to approve with that
motion to
change.
approve the agenda, it was
Yeah.
I'll second that.
top of the last page. Stephen Welch's. There are people with young children here.
Okay.
So I'll come in first.
They're coming in right after some of the ones that will continue.
Got it.
Somebody want to make a motion? Nat's
Yeah.
made a motion to approve
Joe
the agenda with that
seconded.
change. Joe seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okey dokey. We have minutes. I believe you pulled off the 12th, Catherine. So take the 12th off.
Okay.
And October 19th, any comments on that? Changes, alterations?
It's fine.
Somebody want to make a motion to approve October 19th?
Make that motion.
Barry seconded.
Sure, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have a bunch of A&Rs. Joe, can you sit on all the A&Rs?
Yes, I can.
Anybody else have any conflicts on any of the A&Rs? I have one conflict in 8173, so we'll take that last, because I'm in a butter.
Right.
Yeah.
But we have
So-
8171 27 Pequot, 8172 Nautilus Real Estate, 8174 Matthews, 8175 Cody.
Motion to endorse those four.
Okay.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so anybody who's here for those A&Rs, you don't have to stay. And we have Hajar at 2 South Pasture. I'm at 6 South Pasture, 8173 Barry.
Yep, no problem. So 8173, which is Michael and Melanie Hajar, to South Pasture Lane. What's the pleasure of the board? Unless there's any discussion.
Motion to approve.
I'll
Okay.
second.
Motion's been made and seconded to endorse. Any questions or discussion?
Endorse.
It's okay, no problem. All those in favor, please
Aye.
say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have unanimously. Thank you. With coming to recusing.
And I might as well make that notation now. If anybody is here for Tacoma, we are not hearing Tacoma tonight. We are hearing Tacoma at 6 o'clock on Thursday in here. Right, Catherine, or are we upstairs?
Is it in here?
If it's not in here, it's upstairs. Oh, it's upstairs because we had to get the other group to switch, remember? So at 6 o'clock on Thursday, we will be hearing Tacoma Green, and that is upstairs. So if anybody's here for that, you don't have to stay. Okay, we have a bunch of secondary dwellings. The first one is being continued. There's still stuff that has to happen. Does anybody have any conflicts in here?
I do. 28 Pequot,
28 Peacock.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
Atchison.
Okay, anybody else have any?
Well, I'm going to be voting against 1 Hart Lane, 1 Manhasset Road, and 128 Hummock Pond Road.
Because they don't have surveyed plans?
Correct.
Not because there's anything wrong with them,
Uh,
other than that.
I didn't look at it beyond that. To me, that was
Okay,
a deal breaker.
All right, so, Joe, can you say, it doesn't matter, actually,
Sure.
about that.
we'll
It
just,
does about,
we'll take
you
the
don't have
one-
any issues with 28 Pequot, though, right?
Nope.
Joe?
No,
Okay.
I'm fine
all
with
right,
that.
so we're going to take them one at a time then.
Yeah.
J.A. Mahoney, 2009, Declaration of Trust, 1 White Hart Lane. Is there a motion per staff comments?
So moved.
Barry's
Second.
made that motion, Nat seconded. Any further discussion on White Hart Lane? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any
I'm
opposed?
opposed.
Okay, that's 4-1, Catherine. And that's, all of these are per staff comments, correct?
AG2.
All right,
Absolutely.
we have Ryan and Erica Duty at 1 Monahasset.
Motion to approve.
Barry's made a motion to approve.
Second.
Nat made a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'm opposed.
Okay, 4-1. David G. and Barbara Cates, 14 Bassett Road.
Motion to approve.
Yep. Second.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is that unanimous?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Then we have Robert and Michelle Atchison at 28 Pequot Street. John has recused. Catherine?
So I'll make a motion to approve that.
Okay.
Yep.
Nat, you second?
Yeah.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That was 4 in favor, 1 recusal. And we have Kin Merrick Farm, 128 Hummock Pond Road.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm opposed.
Okay, and 1 opposed. Okay, all the secondary dwellings are done, except for GG Development, which was continued to December 11th.
Yep.
We have 1 tertiary dwelling, Judith Brownell, 65 Skyline Drive. Holly, anything to add there?
Good job, Sally.
Somebody want to make that motion?
So moved.
Second. Second.
Second. Any further discussion? All those, and that was per staff comments.
Absolutely.
All those in favor?
Aye.
That was unanimous.
Existing
Okay.
building.
We have previous plans, Peacocks out there in 10-acre zone, 46 West My Comet Road. There's a revised as-built and proposed landscape plan. Staff has recommended that the board accept the revised as-built landscape plan.
This is the one we looked at a few months ago, right?
Well, yes, there were 3
little while
lots out
ago.
there we looked
Right.
at. This is right on the water. They've had this property
Yep.
for decades.
Okay.
Holly, anything to add?
Just that, the as-built did not reflect accurately, as well as the landscaping they put out there. What you all approved, here's the revised as-built. The previous one actually showed, wait a second. Right here, as you can see, they actually encroached within public right-of-way, so they fixed that. Their landscaping is actually within the right-of-way with town administration approval.
Okay.
We want to just get y'all approval so that way they can get their CL.
Anybody have any problems with this?
I'm fine with it.
Somebody want to make a motion?
Make that motion to approve.
Okay, is there a
Revised
second?
as-built.
Is there a second,
I'll
anybody?
second.
Okay, Joe seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Cedar Crest 1, Form
Just-
J.
Yeah, just for the record at this point, I'm going to recuse. My boss right now is starting to work with Richmond with Island Variety and stuff, so I'm going to...
Oh, yeah, they're moving out
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
Okay,
so
so
just-
Barry's recused.
Yes.
Catherine? Is this one of the ones that has to go to Thursday because Ed Pesci just got this one? Holly? There's 3
Yes.
things on this agenda, but,
This one is something that we need to look into.
This was part of the Cedar Crest 1 subdivision, and I believe there are still some outstanding issues that need to be completed, which is why these were being held under the covenant still. So we need to get clarification on that from our engineer before we release those, so we can ensure whatever infrastructure improvements were required are actually completed.
and I believe, Dave, Holly, that Ed said he could get this done by Thursday's meeting? Wasn't that where we got left today?
No,
There were several different items that we needed his assistance with, and I don't think this was one of them, but we can
Okay.
certainly put it over until Thursday and see what happens between now and then.
Okay. Somebody want to make
So
a
I'll
motion
make
to
that
put it
motion
over to
to-
Thursday,
to-
the 15th?
Yeah, I'll make that motion to move 2975 to Thursday.
Okay, the 15th of November?
Yeah.
Joe seconded. Any further discussion?
16th, whatever.
I'm still looking for Memorial
All
Day. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Sconset hydrangea. Holly, anything there?
Wow, that's all
they're just wanting to swap out
a
lots.
long
Yeah,
time ago.
they're swapping, I believe, Lot 5 for Lot 13.
Yes, I don't know if Mr. Boone's here at all.
I don't think he has to be.
Yes.
He's sitting up back against the wall, not
Yes, he
wanting
is.
to come down. He's waving.
Fairly
So-
straightforward.
Anybody have any problems with this?
No.
Somebody want to make a motion?
100 years ago.
I'll move to
Joe made a motion.
approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Bye.
Good job, Richard.
We do that just for you, Rich.
All righty.
I'm out on Rosebud. I didn't see it, I didn't notice it.
All right, hang on.
All right. Wait a minute, did we skip these?
What?
These one next ones, or no?
In good shape.
Do you have something weird going on the agenda? Top of the page,
We're in
says
good shape.
Rosebud.
It should be
These
listed.
here.
No, they're coming,
Okay,
they're coming
okay,
up.
all right.
These are planned re-signings because they came in initially when John McLaughlin was here. He's not legally able to sign any plans once he's not a board member. And there's only 3 of us on
So
one
the
of these.
original application?
Yes.
Okay,
These are
all
all
right, I see
re-signings,
now.
and
what-
because John can't sign, and there were only 2 of us
Okay.
left from the planning board, I think yourself and myself,
Yeah,
that signed them originally. These are all being revalidated, so all 5 people can sign them, unless anybody's got a conflict on these
Yeah, I
things.
have a conflict on Rose, but I got those plans.
Okay, so Joe's not on Rosebud. Does somebody want to, what do we do with these things, Andrew? Motion to endorse again?
Yes.
Okay, somebody want to make
So
that motion on
moved.
Rosebud?
So moved.
Is there a second?
second.
All those, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so that's 4 in favor, Catherine, not Joe.
Right.
And we've got Town of Nantucket. Those are both re-signings, same reason. All 5 of us are on that, I assume, unless I hear otherwise. Somebody want to make a
Right,
motion on those 2?
Yes, I'll make that motion.
7379 and 7408. Is there a second? Joe seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, then we have Old South
to
Road
continue
Crossing,
that.
which I believe is going to Thursday.
All right, I'm going to recuse.
I know you're
myself
gonna
just
recuse.
for the moment.
Somebody want to make a motion to put Old South Road Crossing to Thursday, the 16th?
I'll make that motion, 7988 to Thursday.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Gray Lady subdivision. Holly, anything there?
We've got a recommendation for endorsement from Ed.
Oh, that's right, Ed's happy with this.
Okay, so, motion to endorse the
Gray Lady
plans, the
subdivision.
Gray Lady, yep.
I'll second.
All right, there's been a motion by Nat, seconded by Joe. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. I believe the Perry patent has gone over to the 12th. Do we need an extension on that, or did you get one?
It's got it in January on it, so.
It's 12/11.
Well, mine's got 12/11. This is going to January.
No, it's got a
Before the
January
election deadline.
deadline,
Okay,
yeah. So we're good
so
there.
that's gone. And we have to make a formal vote, Andrew, to go to Thursday for Tacoma Green, correct?
Yes.
Somebody make that motion.
Make
We
the
are not
motion.
taking testimony on that tonight,
I'll make the motion
Second.
to continue to Thursday,
the 16th.
6717.
Okay, Barry, did you second?
Yes, ma'am.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we have the Valero subdivision. Somebody's coming, so hang on to that for a second.
All right.
Where are we going next? Alexander...
Gregler thing.
Greglin, okay. Unless somebody came in. No, not yet.
No.
Okay, Barry, this is yours.
Okay, great. So 55-17 Alexander Orushnikov on 9 Gregland Ave. Hi, good evening, sir. How are you?
Great.
Good. Is there anything you'd like to update us on at this moment?
Yes. So what we've changed the design. We've reduced the square footage of the apartment to 650 square feet, and so what we're asking here is just for because it's 8 bedrooms already in a on a lot.
Yeah.
So we want a waiver for the 9th bedroom, something like that.
Okay, great.
Yep.
And Holly, you had a concern that was raised up in the staff report, or Leslie, I'm not sure which of you, but do you guys, where are we at with that?
So, Mr. Chairman, we do have some concerns with the design still. As you know, the application originally came in with a much larger apartment, and they have reconfigured the floor plan in such a way to reduce the size of the tertiary dwelling. If, the board's inclined to approve it, I think you should make it very clear that you're only approving the 650 square feet or less, not including the office hallway or the office as part of the tertiary dwelling.
Okay.
And Mr. Chairman, I think Holly had mentioned that there could be a building code issue with this particular design where it needs to be clear, really, that giant room that's the office hallway really needs to be segregated into a hallway and another. If it's another portion of the office, that's fine.
Yeah.
But the way it's currently shown on the building code is that space really becomes part of it.
Yeah.
So it may create a conflict between,
How they calculate it?
yes.
Okay.
So, do you understand what we're talking about right now with, in
Yes.
relation to, okay.
So when you apply for your building permit, it has to show that, not as part of that area.
Okay.
And, right, and I think you're hearing the recommendation from staff right now that they'd prefer that this get resolved before we give it a final determination of what we'd like to do, but is there any other outstanding issues from the board?
How does everybody else feel about the 9th bedroom? Anybody?
It's a valid question.
Well,
It's a valid question.
As far as the, okay, Joe, this is a good discussion,
Okay.
okay? Because of it being the only original one that's ever come in like bigger. So we got him down to 650, which was the key to this whole exercise, is the bylaw, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that was the key to this. I mean, that was, staring us in the face, As far as the bedroom goes, I mean, do we have that ability to do that? Or is that,
Well, you have the ability to grant the additional bedroom. You've granted it in the past under
Yeah.
fairly limited circumstances. You've only ever granted the one. This is a larger lot. I mean, the key consideration is typically, is there enough parking provided? And is the lot maxed out that, every square inch? And this is an oversized lot.
yeah,
There is additional room. I mean, the parking is provided according to the bylaw, and there's still open space and other things left on the lot. So, I mean, you could approve this. You could put limits on any future building expansion on it, because of the fact that there's an extra bedroom. Those are conditions you can put on as part of the special permit. But I think, with the change that we suggested, it's not inconsistent from what you've looked at before.
yeah.
Okay.
And it's,
I'm fine with it as long
yeah.
as,
I mean, it's two less than what the original application came in for as well, which wasn't gonna fly anyway, but,
well,
I mean, I'm just reading the original one now, but based on, in my opinion, based on where this is and what he's done and the lot being oversized, I don't have an issue with it. I had a bigger issue with the original plan, personally,
but what we
as
want
far as
to
the 850.
sign off from the building department first?
As far as this
Sign off?
plan goes,
Yeah.
that's a different question. How do you feel about that, Andrew? As far as the hallway thing?
Well,
For now.
I think that you can issue
can
your
put a
decision with that
decision with
being
that
a
condition.
requirement,
Yeah.
that hallway.
I mean, it has to be shown on the plan, or else he's not going to get a
Yeah,
permit.
it needs to be modified so that that space is clearly part of common areas of the building, and otherwise it would get counted in. So I think we can write up a condition that would cover that.
Are we talking about just removing the wall that separates the office hallway from the office and taking down the door? Is that what we're looking at, so we don't create a separate room for the office? Is that, I'm not sure where,
Well, the door, you can see where the doorway is into the apartment, right? That comes off of what is really too big to be considered a hallway there. So that needs to be modified somehow. I don't want to get into designing this on the fly here tonight, but, that basically the doorway exits into a hall, not a full-size room. And, I mean, that office hallway isn't really connected to the office currently. So, I mean, there's got to be some modification to it. It could be office, it could be a storage area for the office or something, but again, there's got to be something that differentiates it.
this gentleman has been before us, I think, 3 times now.
Yeah.
He's reduced it down to the 650 that we really wanted to get to.
Yeah.
I think the issue is we have required parking here. He met the standard to what we're looking for is for size. So aside from that, he's going to have a building department issue that maybe we don't have to deal with. And if he gets through that, then I don't have a problem with the 9th bedroom.
But how do we craft the decision, Andrew, for the, I mean, do they need to come in to see you, or
No,
how do we say, what you need to do?
the condition is that space is modified to meet the building code,
Okay,
and that's pretty much it.
Right.
And then they can work that out, those
Okay.
details out.
so I'll make a motion to approve the application with that comment that the modification has to be in there for the hallway, or the stairway, or to meet the building code. And that's it?
I'll second that.
And
And what about the future expansion? No more bedrooms?
Nothing.
Okay.
And this is it, this place.
Okay.
So, I think that's a given, Joe, considering how long this has taken.
Yeah.
We put that in the decision. Be no future expansion to this property for bedrooms.
did this rise to the occasion of a special permit? I'm sorry. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Tertiary,
Okay, so
it is a
we're-
special
we're gonna
permit.
be- Yeah, it's okay. I'm just saying, I wanted to make sure David gets recognized at this point. He'll be sitting, pardon? Yeah, okay, great.
Yeah, John
So,
seconded.
all right, so the motion's now made and seconded. Is there discussion on the issue? Hearing none, all those in favor,
Aye.
please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, and the pleasure of the board. Did you close you did close the public hearing, I'm sorry.
No, I didn't.
Oh,
Didn't even think of it.
sorry.
It's been so long, this has been
Sorry,
going on so long, I didn't even thought of that.
I'm on the tail end of weathering out a head cold, so
Okay,
yeah, so can we also close the public hearing? at
I'll
this
make
point?
that motion.
Thank
I'll
you,
second.
thank you. Discussion, hearing none, all those in favor, please
Aye.
say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes
Sorry,
have it unanimously.
sorry.
That's okay, not to worry about it. It's
That hasn't happened in
okay.
a while.
It's all right, we
Do we
try
have to
to.
read?
No, I think we're fine here, Andrew, Leslie.
See, that's a big lot. See how
Okay.
big this lot is?
We are done with
Look at all
that,
this
we're so
land back
disposed.
All right, thank you.
He's way
Thank
more-
you, sir.
He's got about another
Shane,
4,000 feet.
It's going to bring us to Stephen
we're
Welch.
going backwards to Valero.
Oh, are they here now? Okay. So, go ahead.
Somebody from Valero's coming down.
We change it.
No.
Since we dragged you out because nobody else came.
So can I ask for an extension?
All right, let me explain what's happening here. Andrew can explain it also. They're under a plan freeze. And so they can't withdraw and resubmit.
Correct.
And Andrew has been asking for all of the stuff that was done in preparation for the market or whatever was going to happen on your side of the road. All this stuff that was done to be assigned to the Valeros from Richmond. We now have that letter, which somebody in your family has to talk to Dave tomorrow and
Yeah.
sign. But we've been holding it up for this letter. Now they can proceed. Dan Malloy is involved with the project now, and he's waiting for this still to get resolved so he can get access to all this information to proceed with what they want to do. And we have the letter now, and we need to give them an extension, since they have finally gotten everything they're supposed to get.
But that sounds, you know what, I'm not comfortable here
Oh,
again,
yeah,
just
that's
because,
right.
yeah, so I'm
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
recusing from that, thank you.
Barry's recusing, Catherine?
Sorry.
So does somebody, guys, does somebody want to give them a 6-month extension, Andrew?
I think
For
6 months
the
is
moment?
Yeah.
We
fine
had-
with that.
minimum.
Yeah, we had talked about a year
Year.
extension, and I think we're a couple months into it, so, but I think, they need time. I mean, the key was getting this information released, so they didn't have to start all over again, so,
Yeah.
so this is a breakthrough here. So I think at least, I think 6 to 9 months is fair.
Let's do a year.
I mean, I don't have a problem with it.
So we don't have to,
Keep
I
going.
thought we already did something like that, but.
No, it was
we
only
didn't.
till this, they've
Yeah.
got till the 30th
Okay,
of
of
November,
November, I
which is
see
coming
that now.
upon us very fast.
Yep.
So, somebody want to make a motion to give them extension for a year?
Sure.
I'll move that.
Yeah,
Joe made
second.
that, Nat second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Here, come get this, give it back to Dave, and then you all have a little confab at the office tomorrow and sign it. And then get a copy back to Andrew. Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to have Steve now, right?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, Stephen
Getting
Welch,
kinda confused here. We already sort of,
and Andrew, he can't represent before his own board.
Huh?
He cannot represent before his own board.
That's not true.
He can represent his personal interest.
All right, it's just personal, okay.
Yeah.
Just as long as
Yes.
it's just your personal stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I checked with the Attorney General. We're
Okay.
totally clear.
Thank you.
And I can't recuse because I'm not sitting on it, so there's no reason for that.
I think you're recused, yes.
Technically. Holly, would you mind pulling up that
Which
plan?
means David,
So my name for the record is Stephen Welch. I'm the owner applicant.
no, there's 5 of us.
And my application is for a gross floor area expansion of an approved tertiary dwelling. Unlike the previous application, this is in an existing structure, not a new structure. And what is proposed is illustrated in the plan you have in front of you. This is the first floor showing the existing structure. The grayed out area is not part of the tertiary dwelling application. It was not part of the previous tertiary dwelling application. It's part of the primary dwelling. This area here is currently used in common, and the blue cross-hatched area, and this is intended to be an increase in the gross floor area, so that the stair and the first floor landing would be included. And then these red lines, actually they're light red, I think they're really pink, are just drawn in as concepts of partition walls for a washer dryer that would not be part of the gross floor area, a mudroom bench, a seat, some closet storage here and here, which you'll see on the second floor is pretty much non-existent. Likewise, on the second floor, the existing structure is the farthest outline. The purple-gray is the previously approved tertiary dwelling space.
What's the square footage on that? Less than 650?
It's less than 650. It's just under 650. Again, the blue area crosshatched is proposed increase. This is the second floor landing and a small eave space, storage area and an eave. And this area is from below, so it's not double counted. And then just so you have an understanding what these are ceiling lines across. It comes across the back of the dormer, it comes out, it goes across the closet here and here, so it makes those closets rather small.
Any motion sickness?
The purpose is to make the dwelling at least moderately livable for a year-round family. Everyone has stuff, and stuff has somewhere to go, and of course people do things as part of life, and they need a little bit of room to live and be healthy and not whack their elbows. The proposed dormer areas here in the purple, front and rear, help to accomplish that goal. And then adding the area downstairs, in addition to the stair here with the mudroom and the closets, helps to alleviate issues. The only storage in the existing gross floor area are these small closets with, as you can see, the eave lines are in the way. Let's see here. So probably worthwhile to note of the proposed 222 square foot increase, approximately 90 square feet is the entryway, the stair, and the landing. The rest is 70 foot for the dormers, and 62 or so is the first floor closet spaces. The application is consistent with recent approvals within existing structures, including at 15 Myacommon Avenue, which was approved at 850 square feet, 15 Seekenau Place, 21 Tacoma Way, and 15 Trotters Lane, among others. In this application, like in those, the square footage increase is within the existing ground cover. Unlike some others, my application proposes no change to the number of bedrooms, and no parking waivers are proposed or required. Presented earlier this evening was a packet of letters asking the application be approved. 4 are from directly abutting neighbors. No opposition has been submitted as per staff report this evening. Staff is in favor of the application as submitted for a maximum gross floor area of 877 square feet, and I ask that you find in favor and vote to approve it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from the board members?
How many square feet is the stairway? About, I mean, you know.
Yeah, no, thanks, Joe. It's approximately 90 feet for the stair, the landings at the top and the bottom, and the little entryway, just kind of here to square it off and get onto the landing.
So 90, what was the total you had?
222, so there's
It's
approximately...
only 130, what I would call real.
Yeah, I guess, you know, the point that could be made is with the garage, using, building a tertiary dwelling in an existing garage on a second floor, unlike with a new structure or something on the first floor, you're going to need typically one interior stair, so you get a bunch of, that's where it eats up a lot of square footage.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Some of the space that you're adding of the 220, whatever it is common space.
Yeah, it's not living.
So we may have to, like the other one, we may have to revisit
Well,
common space outside of the actual unit itself at some
Well,
point.
it's common space and name only. There's no condominium, no cooperative. This
Right.
is a primary dwelling. It was not in the approved original tertiary dwelling because this door is an exterior door to the outside, and this is literally an exterior door rated to this space, the interior stairway. When Bud Glidden, this is Bud Glidden's old place, when he built it, and that has fire separation and everything. So an end result will be that this will become an interior door versus an outside door, and then you'll go down the stairs, and you'll be able to go, you know, you'll have your entry over to the mudroom and your coat closet and a washer dryer, and then some additional dry storage.
Nobody has any questions?
No.
Okay, this is a public hearing. Anybody have any comments?
No, you said it.
Seeing none.
Motion to close the public hearing?
Barry's made a motion to close the public
Second.
hearing. Nat seconded. Any further discussion on that motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, Nat made the motion, John seconded. Any further discussion on that motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that was unanimous, Catherine.
Thank you.
Thank you. Last waltz.
Mary Ann Hanley for the applicant, Last Waltz LLC. The principal of Last Waltz, Neil Patterson, is here in case we have any questions for him. We're requesting an MCD permit this evening in order to clarify the existing stone fabrication business that's been on site since about 1994, I believe. We're not proposing any new commercial buildings, but basically the commercial storage on the area over the years has grown, as one would expect with large trucks and rocks and that sort of thing. So we need to clarify that. There's also there's a commercial building in the back. There's also an existing dwelling in the front of the lot, which is occupied by employees. And my client is proposing at some point in time to have another apartment in a detached structure. So because some of the living space for that apartment would not, more than 50% of it would be on the first floor, we'd need a special permit to waive that 50% requirement. We are also asking for site plan review to the extent applicable. It's a big lot. It's 1 acre in a C-Tech zone. We meet all of our setbacks. We meet all of our parking. We meet the open space requirement. And I believe that you also have in your packets letters from 4 or 5 abutters in favor of this project.
This was originally set up with a ZBA.
Right. At the
Permit,
time,
because
it
I wrote
needed,
it, so I
it
remember
needed a
that.
special permit for fabrication and on-site
Yeah.
assembly.
And it's been successful and grown since then, so the ZBA permit doesn't really address anything at the moment. So coming in here
Not cleaning it
is a
up.
much better idea. Anybody have any questions? No? Okay, this is a public hearing. Anybody would like to have a comment on this one? Seeing none?
Motion to close the public hearing then?
Second.
Okay, Barry's made a motion to close the public hearing. Now to second it. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and
Make a
What's your
motion
pleasure?
to approve at this point.
site planning.
Yep.
The site plan?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Barry's made a motion to approve based on that site plan. Nat has seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Island storage. Arthur, we're not going to do too much on this tonight because we got 4 pages of comments back from Ed Pesci, which nobody's addressed at this point.
Well, we just got them, and by the same token, on a quick look, I don't see anything in there that we're going to have a lot of difficulty with. Obviously, we're not going to close the hearing tonight. I just want to give you the overview of what we're talking about here. For the record, Attorney Arthur Reed, representing the applicant, Bear Vault LLC, DBA Island Storage, and the project engineer Art Gasparo is here with me as well. This is a proposal for a self-storage facility to be situated on Bartlett Road at the corner of 30 Acres Lane on a RC2 zoned lot. The proposal is to have a building with a footprint of approximately 10,000 square feet, 4 levels, 2 of which will be underground of storage space. Entrance will be from Bartlett Road. The project requires a major commercial development special permit, obviously, because of its size. We're also asking for relief as to, well, first of all, a special permit is required for exterior and interior storage and warehousing as it's defined in the bylaw. And I want to clear up one point right now, which has been raised by several of the neighbors. We do not propose any exterior storage. The only exterior work will be access to the premises, and but no exterior storage of materials is proposed whatsoever. The only reason that appears in the application and thus in the notice is that that's the defined category that we're applying under. We are very close to our required open space of 20%, but we're a little under. One thing that throws off the calculation a bit is that the bike path easement ties up a portion of the northerly part of the lot, approximately 3.2% of the lot. We're at 16.8% as far as ground cover is concerned. That doesn't add up exactly to 20, even though those numbers would look like they do, but we are very close to the required, and we obviously will be able to provide screening, fencing and screening around the outside of the project, which will alleviate any impact on the area. We think it's a very attractive building. We're in the process of working with the HDC on that right now. The property will meet the requirements as to setbacks, obviously. There would be an apartment in the building for the resident manager, and there'll be no more than 3 employees at any time. Basically, I think that's the substance of what we're doing here. Again, I agree with you. We'll have responses to Ed's questions and any other questions that you may have between now and the next meeting. And if you want any more specifics at this point, Art is here and can go through those with you as well.
Do you want to give a little bit of an idea of the activity or exactly what's going on in there, that it's dead storage of vehicles? Do you want to get into any of that?
This is intended not as a vehicle storage facility, but as a typical self-storage.
Okay, because the first time I had discussions, it was vehicle storage, but now it's just self-storage
Right.
with the requisite security?
Right. Absolutely. There'll be the security is all laid out on the plans that you see. It'll be fenced and gated. The hours of operation that patrons will be allowed to come into the facility, which we're proposing 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Parking, by the way, would be at the same rate, 1 for 3,000 square feet that you've applied to other similar self-storage facilities in recent applications. I know there was concern expressed by some neighbors about the volume of traffic, and actually the self-storage facility has been established as being one of the lightest traffic generators among all possible commercial uses that exist. It doesn't have a constant flow of people coming in and out, and it would have minimum impact, we feel, upon the neighborhood and upon the use of Bartlett Road.
Any board members have any questions at this time? This is going over to September 11th. Anybody have any questions right now?
December 11th.
December 11th. I'm telling you, I'm still looking
We're not going to wait till September 18th.
I don't know how we got to November. Anything else here? We're going to, if somebody'd like to speak now briefly, otherwise hold your peace until December 11th, because that's when we're going to have addressing Ed Pesci's. I don't want to go on and on about this tonight. We have a long meeting, and we have Thursday posted because it's such a long meeting.
Can I just ask
quickly?
a couple of questions?
Yep.
Yeah. My mother...
Identify yourself and
I'm
your address.
Elizabeth Casson. My mother is Ruth Casson. She owns the unit 8A, 30 Acres Lane.
And how do you spell your last name?
Kassan.
You got it? Okay.
My questions are, since you brought up the gentleman, thank you very much for answering the questions, because he had approached my mother previously and these questions came up. That this is a light traffic generator. My question would be, how many individual storage units would there be in this 10,000 square foot project? And would they be able to be, since it's climate controlled, I'm assuming, is that correct?
Yes.
Then would people be able to use this as a place of business? What would prohibit people from using it so as to keep it from being high traffic during the times when kids are going to school, driving right past there at 7:45 when this opens at 7?
As opposed to dead storage versus
Right.
active storage.
And the answer to that is that if we were going to do anything along that line, which is not in this application, we would need to come back to the board for a modification and with notice, obviously, to all interested parties.
So the answer to the question of how big are the individual units and can they be used as individual office work spaces? They could be used for a carpenter or a painter.
Not right now,
No.
without further relief from this board, and they have not asked for that.
Correct.
Okay.
And you get notice again if they were to come in and try to convert it and everybody has their own little space to work,
Yeah.
you would get noticed about that again.
Okay. Very good. Thank you.
I know we're trying to move this right along, but I think it might be helpful just for everyone to see the pictures, the renderings that have been done as to what this project will look like as shown, looking down.
Arthur, what is the actual footprint, the square footage for ground cover?
The footprint is 10,240, I think.
So we're talking 4 floors of
the 4 floors,
10,000?
the total floor area in the building is 39,000 and small change.
I think that people need to hear that number. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I still don't think you're going to get Belvederes if you're not on Main Street.
I'm sorry?
I don't think you're going to get those Belvederes if you're not on Main Street.
Well, we'll deal with that
building
issue
in
at the
Nantucket
appropriate
has that.
forum. Yes,
Yeah.
right.
We got Lego blocks. Thanks to the 30 feet.
Not 4.
The intent is to have this be an attractive building, and I think whether this is exactly what we wind up with at the HDC or there's some changes to it, I think as you can see, I think we're committed to have it look nice and fit into the neighborhood.
Okay. Anybody else have any quick comments about this at this time, or do you want to hang on? Come on down.
Yeah, I won't waste your time.
Don't talk until you get there, and you got to identify yourself and where you live.
Steve Thompson, 18 Bartlett Road. I wrote a letter. I oppose any waivers towards this. It's a warehouse that is going to be on Bartlett Road, which is already a main artery, close to the school, close to children.
I see too.
And 7 o'clock in the morning, which they just stated, that's when kids are going to school. And would lighting be an issue? It has to be gated. Does it have to be lit all the time? I'm right there. I see everything that's going on. I oppose any waivers for this development. It sounds like a huge warehouse that is going on. I like the neighborhood that is mostly residential, but also I understand that it's zone commercial. I get it. If they're putting up a garage for a mechanic or something like that on a smaller scale, I'm all for it. But putting up this huge thing, I'm not for it.
I suggest you also go to the HDC meeting.
I did that with something else on Essex Road, and I plan on doing that. I just wanted to reiterate on my letter. I oppose this.
Thank you.
Have a good night. I'll see you on the 11th.
Fantastic.
Of December.
December.
If I might, just on the lighting, we obviously would comply with all lighting requirements, and would be the intent to have lighting, aimed down
Yeah,
and
you have to
comply
meet the
with the
dark
usual
skies.
requirements.
We have to comply with the dark skies
Right.
bylaw. Okay, anybody else want to add anything at the moment? Art, you seem like you're poised.
If I may, Art Gasparo, just quickly, some of the comments, the questions that you've asked are laid out on the plans. On the layout plan in the upper left-hand corner has all of the square footage that you were looking for. So, I mean, I know that it's hard to see on the screen, but you have it in your packet.
It
But
didn't
it's-
come in our packet. None of us have it in the packet.
Oh,
No, we saw it.
It's not on my list.
I saw that.
I believe it came
It's on the
out-
second
Linda, I
PDF.
raised that issue, and it came out as a supplement to the
Yeah.
packet
There were two.
today.
It was a separate PDF.
Okay, well, Barry and I are
I think because
evidently
it was so
unaware of
big,
it.
was difficult when it was uploaded, but it was uploaded early this morning.
Because that's the only one
Oh,
I
I
didn't
missed
have.
it. I don't have it.
It's on a
None of
different,
us have it
It's
on
on
this
a,
one.
it's on a
Different
different
emails from
email.
Catherine.
It's on a different email.
You have a different email?
It's
All right.
okay.
so,
We'll figure it out.
right, but what I
like
wanted
this
to get
better.
at just quickly, so that if you are reviewing it over the course of the next month, that this is where you could find everything that you were asking.
Yeah.
A little further down on the same page is the note about it being compliant with dark skies. We've tried to address that. And with respect to Mr. Pesci's comments, I've reviewed them all, and I believe that most of them are technical in nature, and we'll touch up the plans, and I believe we'll be able to satisfy them for the before the next meeting. So I know you want to put it off, but I was also wondering if there are additional questions or something that you wanted me to address. To have to wait another month and then find out another month later, we could possibly incorporate any questions that the board members may have now.
Well, I suggest you go back and take a look at Larry Maury's.
I did. I reviewed both Maury's and the Tomahawk MCDs in preparing both of these applications, and that's where we use the parking numbers, and that's where we did.
Because there were comments made, if you read the minutes or go back and listen to the tape, there were comments made about path of travel, the amount of parking, whether somebody comes in with a trailer or a moving van. There were all kinds of things that they had to address.
Right, so we've done that here as well, where the traffic flow will be around. I've used the turning templates, and that's how I've determined that's why this radius is out where it is, so that you can get the swing around. And if Holly, if you would mind, if we could just slide down just a little bit.
this way.
So up, I guess. I'm
Just go
sorry.
this way.
Yeah, so you would come in here like this. To the gentleman that referenced the gate, you'll notice that we purposely kept the gates down off the road so that you have room to come in and queue up in here. You have a parking spot if someone's going to go to the office. They can back out, pull back out. Obviously, no backing into Bartlett Road. I've included, some potential signage for the bike path here. One of Ed's comments was a stop sign and a stop line. Obviously, we'll do that. We'll look to be sure, with the landscape, that there are adequate sight distances here. And the security fence wraps all the way around here. But as you can see, the flow of traffic would come like this, nice and straight, pretty straightforward, and then back around and back out.
Barry?
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. John, I can wait a
Madam
second.
Chair. Arthur, just for clarification purposes for next meeting, I think Arthur had made a point that there wasn't any vehicle storage there, and I might be confused, but I thought in the plan that I reviewed there was vehicle storage inside some of those units. So I just wanted to clarify that for the next meeting.
All right, we'll clarify. And I guess there may be some vehicle storage.
Because that was my understanding of this
Yeah.
project to begin with,
Yeah.
because there's not, people are asking all over the place for somebody who can store their vehicle, and I thought that's what was happening here, because that's pretty dead storage, but that's not happening here in the way I thought it was going to
We'll
happen.
clarify what the interior space will be used as.
Okay. Barry?
Yeah, so through you to staff, just Andrew, Leslie, is there anything we should be looking for in terms of either the bike path, Bartlett Road, the bus stops, the intersect with Bartlett, in terms of improvements? Or just something for us to start thinking about between now and the next meeting?
Andrew?
Yeah, I think between now and the next meeting, I mean, that has to have a rational nexus, of course.
Exactly.
And I, as what was stated, the volume in these types of facilities tends to be low. I just wanted, could I ask a question while I have the mic here?
Yeah.
So there is no access to 30 Acres Lane, is that right?
That is correct. We do not have legal access to 30 Acres Lane.
Okay.
This is Perry's property.
Oh, where is it? And so I just noticed that it looks like a curb cut. What is that right there?
If I may, that's existing, and it just ends at the fence. So we basically just picked up edge of asphalt, but we could remove that if that was, we don't have the right there. So it's existing, it's not proposed, and the fence continues the whole way. So in other words, that was just, it was just picked up on the survey as the edge of the asphalt there.
And that's the same with the other one to the.
Yeah, same here. There's another little apron there. But again, the split rail, actually, there's existing split rail now. And then what we'll have is a security, coated security fence.
So as part of, I'm sorry, can I continue on this? So would that be part of your landscaping area? Would there be landscaping in that area outside the lot?
If the 30 Acres Homeowners Association would allow us to,
Okay.
we'd be happy to do some landscaping over in that area. But we do not own that land, nor have rights in it at the present time.
Great, thank you.
Barry?
I'd just ask you probably to reach out a little bit and do that. I'm just thinking that those aprons are, I don't know, they might invite more problems than good. So if you guys could just maybe
Take them out.
We would like to do that.
Great. So we're
That
on
was
the same
something
page.
David put
Thank
in a
you.
long time ago when the Perry family owned all of that. Any other questions?
Yeah. On the parking?
Art?
By the way, I definitely did misspeak on the question of vehicle storage. There will be vehicle storage.
Okay. That's good. On the parking, that's compliant?
You've been applying in other, and
So
I think
it's about
Andrew and
compliant.
Leslie can verify this. There's no specific mention in the bylaw of the of a self-storage facility as far as parking is concerned. But what you've been doing in these is applying 1 per 3,000, and that works out to 13 spaces for the 39,000 square
Right.
feet that you've got here, plus obviously the 2 spaces for the residential unit.
I mean, my thoughts are, I don't think you need that much.
Oh, God, no.
That
And I'd rather see a little more open space and lose some of the, I go to a big storage facility in LA and
yeah.
twice as big as this, but there's 4 cars there, 6 cars there.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but that's up to the
We went through this parking thing ad
board.
nauseum with the other storage things,
Yeah.
and they didn't have enough parking. And at 1 per 3,000 instead of 1 per 900, which is the standard for
Yeah.
storage, I personally am not going any less parking on this.
Okay.
I'd like to see a
All right,
planting
that's
plan.
fine.
I would like to see a screening plan.
You'll
Because
have
he's
it.
right, it's a mixed neighborhood.
Yeah.
And there's nobody out there that has a chain link fence as security fence.
One thing that Ed had mentioned in his report was the suggestion that the landscaping be outside the security fence, and that's exactly what we intend to do.
We need that plan.
Yeah.
So that's something that you should come in with, a
Yeah.
much more detailed plan on this, because nobody has a chain link fence the entire length of that road that I can remember.
So,
Any other questions?
I had one other, just in response to the parking, and the parking areas are going to be the turf stone that go all the way around, which has about a 40% open space, so, and we didn't include that in the open space calculation,
Right.
though I did, on that same chart, I calculated the area of turf stone, didn't include it in the calc, but left it as a separate line item for you
Okay.
also to be able to consider that.
Okay, no, that's good. Thank you.
Any other questions before I go back to the audience? We have Roberto standing here,
Hi.
our health inspector.
Yep.
Did you have a quick question?
Not as a health inspector. I have a question, yeah. May I ask it,
Yep.
Madam Chair?
Hey, Art, good evening. Just curious, have you run through fire access and all that, and you'll be, as an MCD, you'll be putting that in front of the fire department, correct?
One of the comments that Ed had was to review this with the fire department. Now, what I used was, a longer truck that can make the turn. So the assumption would be that, the fire truck can also make it, but we are going to, approach the fire department. I was going to touch base with staff just to be sure whether the proper way you want that to go, whether you want to send it to them or whether you want me to and copy you. But my plan was to come in this week and go over that, and we expect to have, a response for that for your next meeting.
Thank
Roberto?
you.
Just a question for the chair. For the record, it's Roberto Santamaria, 1030 Acres Lane. For the December 11th meeting, will public comment be available as well?
Oh, yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
We just wanted to have a little bit more information ourselves.
Public hearing stays open.
We're not closing the public hearing. Anything else? Somebody want to make a motion to continue this to December 11th?
Make that motion.
Second.
Okay, Nat's made the motion to continue to December 11th, and Barry has seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Oh, I know what this is.
City Electric Supply Company, Teasdale Circle, in a nutshell, Holly. This is simple.
Modification to the original.
It's just, they're adding an apartment. There's a modification to the original special permit, they're adding an apartment. Anybody have any questions about that up here?
No.
No?
Okay. Is there any comment from the public on 12-5 Teasdale Circle?
Yeah.
Up to the
Oh,
thing.
I'm wondering why you were here.
Evening, Bob Little, 15 Teasdale Circle.
What's the address are you out there?
1-5.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Bob.
We support the application for the apartment. We do not support the request for a variance on the on-site parking requirement. It's at the other end of Teasdale Circle from us. However, Teasdale Circle, if you've been out there in the last couple of years, is a zoo as far as on-street parking. It's the signage indicates there's no parking on either side of Teasdale Circle,
But that's 50 years ago.
but it's happening, and so it's parked up both sides. So it's really a one-lane road. And I believe you received another comment from a neighbor at 11B Teasdale, expressing a similar concern. So we're hoping that you will not grant the request for a waiver from on-site parking, in part because though there are only 5 spaces required, there are 7 spaces on site. So our question is like, why? Ask for the waiver. Secondly, if there is a need to dribble the parking out on Teasdale Circle, it's just adding to an already bad situation. And C, I think it sends the wrong message to the neighborhood insofar as the rules that we all bought into, you can just blow them off. So I sent a note to Leslie and to Steve Cohen a week ago tonight. And Steve may be here, and maybe he can address the request for the waiver, but we don't understand the why piece. And in conferring with Arthur, he doesn't understand the why piece either, because they're already in compliance. And when it went through the MCD review a year, 13 months ago, it was stated in the decision that there was no waiver required, period.
You're correct, and we did talk at great length about the parking at that time.
So even if you counted the 0.75 spaces per bedroom, it's a 2-3 bedroom. So at 2 bedrooms, the 5 spaces plus 1.5, they're compliant. If it's a 3 bedroom, that's 2 1/4 spaces with favorable rounding, and that's 7. So there's no waiver required, in my simple-minded view. But I'm biased because there's already a parking blurb on the site, so I'm just sort of voicing, let's stem the tide, please.
Thank you. Steve, do you want to answer this? Because it was kind of, why are we doing a parking waiver? And we had talked about that, not giving a parking waiver when it came in a year ago?
Yep. So I apologize, got stuck in traffic. The parking waiver is not needed. The parking waiver is just something that was a placeholder based on a conversation that I was having with my client, and it is not something we need to continue with because I'm happy to withdraw that part of the application. It was, at the time, something under consideration that has been abandoned. So I think the much simpler question in front of you is the planning board willing to approve a 3-bedroom apartment? The only exterior change, I think, is a staircase on the east side of the building, which is, and then some dormers up in the top. So the parking calculation would still be met. And I talked to Paul Santos today, and he said we could easily add a space or 2 if the board wanted us to, that would be compliant without really making any site changes. He sent me a plan that I could send to staff that shows both a 9x20 and a 7x17, basically using the same configuration. We could get more parking, but we'd have to move. It's got that sort of triangle of timber and open space. If you eliminate the current timber and angle everything, you can get another couple of spaces. But I think I'd save that for backup in case we actually need it, since we're over where we're at now. And so if the board is comfortable with it, we'd take a 3-bedroom apartment with the requirement that we meet the required parking.
Thank you. Are there any more questions from the board? Is that pretty clear?
You get 2.
Any more comments from the public? Hang on one second, Bob. Bob, hang on one second.
Yeah.
Arthur?
Yeah, I represent Bob and Betsy, and I understand Stephen's explanation. I've asked for relief that might or might not be necessary myself a few times, but obviously the fact that it was in there concerned him and I think some other neighbors. And I think it would obviously be helpful and would assuage their concerns if the application, if the decision rather, did contain language specifically requiring the applicant to provide and use the 7 spaces as shown on the plan in connection with the project.
Okay. Bob, do you have anything to add to that, or does that do it?
Arthur said it so much more eloquently.
Yeah. I think that condition is fine because we think we could easily do 8, either with the 9x20 or the 7x17, probably as a 1 residential space. So, from a business management point of view, even being over at 8, we're fine with. Not that I wanted, there's a
and
requirement.
This is a special permit.
We're comfortable with it.
Yeah, we'd already given him a permit last year.
For Bob's information.
I have advised my clients that if there are any problems, that the special permit can be reopened, so
Right.
they're better off
That's what I meant.
making a good situation, which I think is what Nat was saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Any other comments from the board?
No.
Any more comments?
Fair enough.
Any more comments from the public? Somebody want to make a motion?
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Okay, Barry's made a motion to close the public hearing. Nat has seconded. Any further discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, somebody want to make a motion with that condition? That the 7 spaces be provided on site, a minimum of 7 spaces be provided on site. That way, if they want to put in 8, they don't have to come back here.
There you go.
Does that work, Leslie?
Perfect.
Yeah, so moved.
Second
Okay.
that, that's good.
All right, Barry made that motion, and Nat seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, island buggies. Short history on this one.
Short history. My client, by the way.
Since I wrote the original decision, go ahead.
I know. I told my client that it would be 7:30 at least by the time that this would be reached, but you shot this out from under me by saying we're going to be quick tonight on island storage. And a couple of other things that I thought were going to be taking up some time didn't. But I'm prepared to go forward. This is a pretty simple situation at this point. As you know, this property is used for has been used for some time pursuant to special permits issued by the ZBA when they had jurisdiction over it for car rental. And specifically, it's been primarily antique cars that have been rented from the site. My client, Dolly Sultanan, has gone through a divorce with her husband who originally set this up, and as a result of that, she's wound up with this property and this project, and she now wants to eliminate the condition as to the number of antique and number of contemporary cars, so that they can all be. We're not changing the number of cars that would be there, but just, we don't have to have a formula between antique cars and modern cars. That's really all that we're doing. The staff report raised the question as to whether the site plan that accompanied the 2013 ZBA decision was still the site plan that we were proposing to operate under, and the answer is yes.
Okay.
Anybody have any questions here?
No.
Anybody in the audience have any questions? Seeing none,
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Nat made a motion to close the public hearing. Joe seconded. Any further discussion on that motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, somebody else want to make a motion?
Make a motion to approve the change in the kind of vehicles.
Just remove
But
the
the-
restriction
but it's
on
still the
the
same
ratio
num-
between regular
Right.
vehicles and antique
But
vehicles.
it's still the same number.
Okay, is there a second?
I think he seconded.
Joe
I'll
seconded.
second, yeah.
Okay, Nat made that motion. Joe seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. And I believe Scarlett O'Hara is going to December 11th. Is that what is happening? I have that from my discussion with you, Leslie.
Gotta open it up, but.
Open it up. And Ed Pesci still, I guess, has to roll with this.
Correct.
Over to December, though.
But we do think,
Sorry.
we are recommending that you open the hearing as scheduled, but that you continue it to December.
Okay.
Got it.
Marianne?
Yep, Mary Ann Hanley for Scarlett O'Hara LLC. Dan Malloy's here as well. This is an existing MCD that we are modifying, and we're proposing to remove 2 of the existing buildings and replace them with 3 two-bay contractor shops that will be available for rental for various contractors. The total increase in building area is 3,906 square feet. We are asking for a waiver of the required number of parking spaces from 18 to 16. Those spaces are outside. I would add that all of these buildings that are on this property have garage doors, and they are capable of having some interior parking, but we have not counted any of those interior spaces because we're just not quite sure how the various occupants would use them. And we are also, there's one of the buildings that's being removed is a house that's been on the site for many years, and we are asking to remove that as well, and not to provide any other housing on the site, just because of the activity that's there. The new contractor shops are all fairly low. Their ridge heights are between 19 and 21 feet. And I've been over there. It's not, the activity on the lot is really not conducive to people living over there.
Any board members have any questions while it's open?
Nope.
Any comments from the public? And what is the reason why we're continuing it for Ed? Is it drainage and whatnot? Because we've already dealt with this property once.
He hasn't reviewed the new permits.
Okay.
There you go.
Somebody make a motion to continue to December 11th.
I'll make that motion.
All right, Nat's made the motion, Barry seconded, Joe seconded.
There you go.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I believe two of us now, John, cannot sit on this
Yes.
next one. So it's myself and John Trudell are recused from this.
Duly noted.
It's all yours.
All right, we're on Hawthorne Park now. Thought we were, can't go by this.
All right, so 80-17 Hawthorne Park Amendment, 468 Hawthorne Lane, 3949 and 55, portions of Hummock Pond Road for the applicant. Good
Yes.
evening.
Good evening, Sarah Alger for the applicant. I am here just really for a clarification of the prior decision. The plans, when they were done, showed a rather large, because we're sharing driveway accesses, we're only doing, I think, 3 on Hawthorne and 3 on Hummock Pond Road. They were shown at 28 feet, but the decision didn't specifically call out a curb cut special permit, which is required to go wider than, I think, 15 feet. So we're just asking that the permit be cleaned up to match the plan, to allow what the plan shows.
Yep, no problem. Steve, Dave, you're going to sit on this one as well, too. So, any comments from the board?
No.
No.
Nothing from staff at this point. Anyone in the public wishing to comment on this? Seeing no comment from the public.
Make a motion to close.
All right. And do I hear a second to that?
Second.
Motion's now made and seconded for discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have unanimously, and the pleasure of the board.
Make a motion to approve the change in the language for the curb cut size.
Great. Duly noted. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All right. Thank you. Motion's now made and seconded for discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor,
Aye.
please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have unanimously. Thank you all.
Great, thank you.
This is housing Nantucket, right?
Yep.
Surfside Road, I believe that's the next one, isn't it, Barry?
Yes, it is.
Surfside Road, Phase 2, 7 Surfside Road. There are 2 structures there now. They're asking under the bylaw
My
for
mother's
2
old
more.
house.
Representing the applicant is?
Ann Cuspa from Housing Nantucket. We're the owners of the property. We have developed 2 units there, Unit C and Unit D, and those will be completed very soon as we get that apron put in. We'll have those occupied. By the way, Housing Nantucket's an affordable housing provider for island residents. We serve with this property, we'll be serving 60 to 100% AMI people, so that's area median income residents, and these are affordable rental units. We are here before you for Phase 2, and we're asking for permission under the apartment bylaw to put 2 separate structures, Unit A and Unit B. Actually, I'm looking at this plan here. Yeah, it's backwards, exactly. So Unit C is existing. Unit D is existing. Unit B and A are proposed. And those 2 structures I saw in the staff report, there was a question about how many bedrooms would be on the site. So the total number of bedrooms is 5. So there's 3 one-bedroom units. Those are the smaller units, A, B, C. And then that Unit D is a 2-bedroom unit. Also, there was a question about the parking. So if you scroll down a little bit, you can see, yes. I don't know why Chip Webster's department they didn't put the lines there, but you see if I had the pointer, you could see future ...
Yeah.
And then up towards the road, Surfside Road, future ... So there's actually 4 more future parking spaces available. Yes, those are slanty. So we definitely want to address the parking situation. We would like to have enough parking, so that's not a problem there. We saved that tulip tree, which had been a concern for people, and we'd like to go to the HDC soon to get approval for buildings that look like, pretty much just like that Unit C. one bedroom. The basements will not be living space. They'll have bulkheads. I don't know what else you'd like to know, but I'm here to answer any questions.
Any other comments from the board?
Just the back, showing the plan, that's it.
I just know there's been a lot of public comment. You've heard my comments ad nauseum from the Housing Trust and the Housing Authority when I've commented on the fact that the other two units are still not rented. And the sewer's been in for some time. And people are just saying, people are very skeptical about 2 more units when we haven't even finished the first 2. That's all I'm going to say. Because when we gave it to you in the Housing Trust for 4 units, CPC has been talking about 4 units with you guys. The fact that the 2 units that are there now are not rented is a problem from a public perception point of view, as well as the boards involved. So I'm sure you're going to hear that from the people that are here, because I see a lot of people here.
Could I respond to that now?
Yeah.
Just to, so we did have a problem with the sewer, and the problem was that there was clay infrastructure. There only was one cottage on there, a one-bedroom cottage on the site to begin with, and since we needed to tie in with these 4 dwellings, the clay infrastructure failed when we were trying to put it in. So we had to redesign that. There were some manholes that needed to get installed. We needed to wait until February vacation. So it just it took a lot longer than certainly we would have liked. When that went in March, then we had delays. There was a question about whether interior stairs were necessary, but since that is not, there's not any living space in the basement, there are not. So that took some time. And then now we're waiting for the apron to go in. Victor Brandon has promised us that it will be done by Thanksgiving, but he had a huge project at the airport that was taking up all of his resources, and that's why now we were not able to rent this. We have 2 tenants selected, and so we really, as soon as we get that apron in, the final inspections have all been signed, but we need that apron in so that we can get our as-built done. But Earl and Sullivan is on speed dial. They know as soon as that goes in, then we'll be applying for our CO.
Cool.
But it's both 60 to 80% AMI. All 4 units will be for that income bracket, which is important.
Okay, any more questions from the board? Nope. Okay, we'll open up to public comment. I know there are some people here, unless we've already answered your questions.
Hi, Sally Ann Austin at 19 Surfside.
I put it right at it.
There we go. Sally Ann Austin, 19 Surfside. We've been through this, like you said, ad nauseum. So in the packet that we got, it shows 2 plans from Chip Webster's office for what will be Unit A, and there you go. And I noticed that it says not for construction. So I have a question if these are actually going to be brand new and stick built. Are we waiting for a house to be donated and have it moved on the land like last time? Do we know what's happening with those other 2 houses?
Are you asking for somewhat of a timeline on this?
And what they're going to look like. I mean,
no, what they look like is not something we can consider.
Right.
That's at
but
the
they
HDC.
are going to be 1 bedroom.
Correct.
Yeah, so they only have a certain amount of square footage left
Right.
to get them in there.
Yes, because I believe we're cramming these 4 cottages onto a little over a quarter acre.
Well,
Hold on. Do you have another question for it so you can
I
get
have
them all?
I have 9 points. So
All right. Do you want to go, Andrew, the best way to do this is to have her ask a question, have her answer. Go ahead.
So to answer your question, yes, they will be newly constructed. That's our plan right now. We thought that would be better for the timeline because we certainly want these units online as fast as possible, and we're doing our best to get them online as fast as possible. These are HDC. We need to go to the HDC before we can actually build the units. We need to get approved by them. So that'll be another part of the process too. And then this is by the zoning code is what we're building our units, and I believe we even could build them bigger if we wanted to, but we're not, because we realize this is a tight site, and we want to be respectful to the neighbors. We listened at the ZBA hearings, and it's important for us to try to make it livable not only for our tenants, but also for everybody around us.
Okay, Sally.
Okay, and the other thing is the cars and parking. I don't know if anybody on this board has actually driven by and looked at the site, but every day somebody comes into my salon and asks me, how the hell are they going to have enough parking? And I don't see it. I mean, I see the construction guys over there when they are working, and there's not enough parking and turnaround for 3 trucks over there right now. And I do have a concern about the cars and parking because we have a density problem in our neighborhood between the school and everything else that's getting thrown into the Mid-Island section. We have a density problem, and they're moving the, what do you call them, the crossing...
Crosswalks?
There you go, thank you. The crosswalks for the school. They have one right in front of where I am, which is a blind corner, so they're going to be moving it closer down to 17 Surfside, which is the Toscana employee housing. So this is going to be in between 2 crosswalks for the school. I know my neighbor at Vesper Lane corner had to move her driveway over onto Vesper Lane because there is a traffic problem. There's a density problem. And now right next to her driveway that she's not supposed to be using anymore is going to be this exit and entrance for this project. And I can kind of see an accident waiting to happen. But in the same breath, I'm worried about enough parking being available because we have a problem already with the Toscana housing next door. They have plenty of parking, and they still park across the street at the high school. Somebody drives a cab at night, and there's always 2 cabs in that high school parking lot. Now, when I opened my business, the first person that told me I wasn't allowed to use the high school parking lot was Linda. And I am worried that this is what's going to happen with this development. Because if a 1-bedroom cottage is going for $2,000 a month plus utilities, you need 2 people. That's a 2-person income. And I don't see how you're going to say there's only going to be 1 car per cottage. And I am pretty sure at least 1 person per cottage is probably going to have some form of an SUV. So I really think someone needs to go and actually physically look at this site because it looks all fine and dandy up there. But when you're living in it, you're going to be like, how the hell is anybody going to get 2 trucks out of that parking?
Well, clearly, 4 spaces are not enough. And this plan has to be updated correctly.
I have a 1-person salon, and they made me put in a 9-car parking lot with a turnaround.
Yeah.
And I couldn't have 2 curb cuts. And I think this is a whole lot tighter, and it's just as much as square footage as I own.
And actually,
we're all quarter acres.
Because they're a 501c3 nonprofit, and this is a special permit for them, it's not a municipal use. The planning board has the ability to say 1 vehicle per structure or 2 vehicles for the bigger structure. Not 500 vehicles in there. We have the right to say, you have the right as the landlord to say you can only have 1 vehicle. We have another development where they're not allowed to have any more than 1 vehicle. We're talking about that with Tacoma. So there's no reason why there can't be some proposal here to limit the number of cars that are allowed per couple, per site, whatever you want to do. But clearly the 4 spaces are not enough. You're going to have to show all the spaces that you're planning to put there because that's not working. And you got to make sure that all 8 spaces are going to actually physically work.
I'm not sure that backing out into Surfside Road is the best.
They're not going to be allowed to
gonna be
back
doing
out
that.
to Surfside Road.
Right.
So they're going to need a turnaround.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Well,
They have to
enough room
flesh.
to back up
They have to
inside.
flesh out that parking space because Andrew, isn't Surfside one of the roads that you're not allowed to back out on?
Right.
They can't even
Yes.
back out on it anyway.
Right, I know
So they're
that.
going to have to come up with between now and the next meeting. They're going to have to come up with a parking schematic on this site plan that's
Yeah.
actually going to be practically and able to be used from a zoning perspective. So that's got to happen.
I know we brought up some issues at the last zoning meeting because this issue's been going on forever and ever. But there is an issue we have with management, like who's managing this? And
Housing Nantucket is the manager of all their properties.
Okay, so I've looked at what's there, and it is a pretty big basement with a pretty big stairwell. How do we know that it's not going to be rented out?
It can't be used for human habitation.
How
There's
do
no
we
egress for-
know that's not going to happen?
Because she's going to have to
Yeah,
certify it,
that's-
and they have to inspect it,
They-
and the building department is
in
not
their
going to
best
allow it,
interest.
and it's right on the main drag. It's got a bulkhead, so it doesn't
Yeah.
have access. It's got the issue with the stairs not being there to the first floor, and it doesn't have egress windows. So it's done.
Okay,
It's
'cause we
it's being going to be approved as a one-bedroom cottage. That's it. If somebody gets caught living in the basement, she can kick them out.
Because we also had an issue with a pet policy. We brought that up as well.
Well, that's a little beyond our
Let's go.
capabilities.
Okay. So that goes
They don't have cars. though.
where? Thank God.
That would be something to have a direct
So we wanna make-
conversation with them.
We want to make sure there's going to be also no home business, no renting, and the issue with the bike path was another thing. It's a tiny, tiny bike path, and they're going to be moving these two new dwellings closer to that bike path area. The bike path is existing now. Two people cannot pass
Well,
on it.
but that,
That's outside the
But that was-
property line. We
yeah.
can't go there
Okay,
either.
but I'm just wondering if it's going to take away from the existing bike path.
No.
no, the layout.
Right.
The bike path layout is outside of the buildable area of this lot.
And then my other question was the time of construction. Like, how long is this going to go on? Because it's been an eyesore. It has been, I'm worried about my property values, but we've had an issue with the people who are working on there are not, they're not being considerate and they're not following noise ordinance. And we've had a problem with this. I think it was last Thanksgiving morning. They were out there working at 7
Yeah.
o'clock, before 7 o'clock in the morning.
I got the call.
And
We need to maintain some sort of a tight ship on the people that are working on that property because that was ridiculous.
it's been really ridiculous. And it's been really frustrating. And as a neighbor, I mean, and I hate looking at it. I mean, I got to drive by it at least once or twice a day, and it's a total you-know-what show over there.
It's looking better
I
every day, though.
I really don't want another
too far.
year and a half or 2 years of this.
Right. What we're trying to avoid, Ann, that's what I was saying, there's a lot of skepticism about two more structures over there, especially when these were moved in there, one was already there. There are already structures. Is that we end up with a 2 or 3 year long construction site where they get the walls up and it stops. Or they do this and it stops. Or they get half the roof shingled like they left the staging on the roof for like a year. This is going to make it look bad for you, for us, for the neighbors, for everybody else. They don't want a protracted 4-year ordeal like it's been so far.
Yep, and we'll recognize that. It did not go along our timeline. I think the house recycling and then all of that 40B process, that took too long. And then now this apron, it's just, that's one of the factors that is in our decision to do some stick building over there so that we can just get those simple boxes up there and get it approved by HDC. And really, we hope to have it done by the end of the year, 2018.
Because it is a special permit. If this starts running off the rails, they can come back and have a chat with us. So just get it together and move it along.
You know, we stood before zoning board and we were promised this was going to be done in 2017, the entire project. And now we're still waiting, and I just don't want to see this going on for like a whole another year. And I'm not even the direct abutter. I mean, I don't have to put up with as much as Vicki and Marion do, but and I get asked about it every single day. Somebody walks in my salon and asks me, what the heck is going on over there? Why is it taking so long? Why is it looking like crap? I applied for a tax abatement because I'm living in a construction zone. I went through a year of the school. We had this affordable housing project going on. I've got the hospital going on the other side of me. And it's like I have not had quiet enjoyment of my own home in 2.5 years.
We got it.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, yeah, just one thing. Sally, just one thing, okay? This is why this board likes special permits, because special permits bind the applicant to have to do things.
Or not.
If things aren't going well, a number of people can get together and request this board to reopen the special permit. So I think you've heard tonight from Ann that they're going to be done by the end of 2018. Okay? Well, okay. Now
the sewer held it up for a long time.
Right. But tonight, as of right now, okay, that's what I just heard as a board member on here. I'm not saying that what has we can't turn the clock back, but you can hold them accountable toward getting the rest of this done within a reasonable time frame now. And so I think, when they make a commitment like that, we hear that. And the last thing, and even with the parking, if it doesn't work, we can reopen the special permit. So it really is imperative upon them now to try to really get this right. I think they're hearing it. And if they're not hearing it, here we go. You guys just need together, or this board can make a determination to reopen a public hearing. That's the last thing they want. I will tell you that right now. That is the last thing they want. They do not want to be back before this board. So I would ask you, I know it's probably a little bit of a leap of faith now, but maybe take some stock, write it down on a calendar with what they've said. And as we're getting close, the first thing we're going to ask is, have you had conversations with them? First thing to do. And if they're not being responsive or you're not getting appropriate answers, here we go. We can do this, and we can reopen things and ask those questions.
And it's on the record.
And it's on the
public record.
Right. So I'm going to ask you maybe to take a little bit of a leap of faith, but also take some stock in what's been said as well, too. And know that it's not just going to necessarily fall on deaf ears. There is a recourse for it. And I hope that helps a little bit. I know. All right. Thanks.
TJ?
TJ Watterson. I'm at 33.5 Vesper, and I obviously drive by this every day. I was just wanting to point out and also reiterate a couple things Sally Ann said relating to the intensity and the fact that it's been an eyesore. And I believe that this tight grouping of 4 buildings all to the side of the lot is going to be, as proposed, an eyesore. And I noticed the lack of any planting plans on the plan here. I'd like to see maybe some screening from the road, because I really do feel like it has been and will continue to be an eyesore, and I think I think that site plan could be worked better and spread the buildings out as well.
They have a limitation on spreading that one building out because of the parking and the access. They can't get anywhere near that. They have to keep them over here to get the parking in. And around the tree.
No, I know,
had the tree been able to be removed, it'd be different.
There's a different way as well, because I was actually looking at that site plan, and I think something could be put down the right sideline, straight on, and I hate to lose a tree, but if that even comes to that, I just think it's going to look atrocious. Those 4 buildings, 2 blocking the others. Sorry, and if nothing else, I'd really like to see, as somebody who lives nearby and passes by every day, some screening from the road to, make it less impacting to the streetscape.
Okay,
I think she's going to respond to the screening.
May I? There are trees in front. I think they're ash trees, if I remember right. What is yeah. So there are some trees which, in my opinion, are beautiful, and the buildings that are to be proposed, I also think they're attractive. I think they're simple, and I don't think that it's going to be an eyesore at all. The tulip tree itself is gorgeous, and there's a cherry tree. I mean, there's a lot of beautiful trees on that site.
Okay.
Hi, how are you? Hi. Victoria Ryder. I live at 11 Surfside Road. I'm right adjacent next to where the new buildings are going. A few things Sally said, I agree with her. The parking, I would definitely take a look at it. The safety on that road, I have already been rear-ended twice since this project has started. I've had people think that it's my property. They think it's all one. That's how close everything is. My bedroom's right there. I might always have back issues. You know, people look over at that property in disbelief. And so then they take their eyes off the road because they can't believe what they're seeing. Because I have people come up to me all the time asking, what are they doing? It's such a congested area. It's like the hospital, the school. I've lived there my whole life, and it's like, it's getting like out of control in that area. The last zoning board meeting, a couple of years ago, we did talk about pets, and they had said no pets because everything is so crammed on that property already, and if you have, each house has a dog, and they're all out there, there's no room for them to run around. You have cars and people walking by. The dogs are going to be barking constantly, and I know I don't want to listen to that when I'm sleeping, and I don't want to hear dogs barking 24/7, because when they used to rent the house before it was bought, I had run into this problem. This guy left 2 little dogs out, and they barked all day. There should be a thing where it shouldn't happen 24/7. Also, I wanted a fence put on my property line between the project that's going on and my house. Because I feel if there's not a fence, and the zoning board also said they can definitely see a fence there. And she said they ran out of money, but they have the money to build, they were going to have her pay for the fence. But they ran out of money, so where is this money coming from? She said she couldn't pay for a fence, but they have enough money to build 2 more houses. I mean, it's literally right there. Like, I don't even feel comfortable in my house. I need a good barrier there. You know, I want a solid, not a split rail, like a solid 6 foot, 7 foot would be better, but I don't think they allow 7 foot, so I might have to accept a 6 foot fence. And also, it's going to probably depreciate the value of my property.
Which is not something we can go there.
No, okay, I understand. Okay, so we'll skip that. They put drainage in. I don't know, because originally, when it rained, it was all going over onto my property, like saturating my trees and my property. Then they put the drain in, but there was still some water coming over, but I don't know how well those drains work, because it was like they filled up. And about how long it's been taken. Like, I've seen everything what's gone on. It's like, but I won't go into that. It's taken a lifetime. I did call. They said they were going to be grassing it this summer, but that never happened. You know, they said I heard they were only going to do the 2 houses, but like I said, I just hope nobody gets killed there, because I've already experienced this 2 rear ends, and it's just too much in that area. And what people come to me and say, how could they even get away with that? Like, there's not enough parking for even 6 cars, not even alone 4 cars. I go by there every day and I look at that property, and I just can't understand how they could even fit the parking there. There's no turnaround. And the management also, you know, I don't want to be, things echo off of that school. People have no comprehension on how it makes it so much louder. Things echo. I've lived in that neighborhood my almost 46 years. And I don't want to live uncomfortably in my house because I will be calling her or I will be calling the cops because I want to live in my house comfortably. And if they have people over, if all these 4 houses have company over, you're going to have lots of people on this property in a small space with dogs. And I mean, if you know, like I said, the zoning board said no dogs allowed, and she was supposed to pay for a fence, but then something got thrown out. So here we are again. But I still would like a fence. If not, I'm going to have to pay for it, which I don't want to, but I will because that is how close it is to my property. And I want to live comfortably in my house. I've lived there my whole entire life. I've put work, you know, my whole life. I put, you know, and then this stuff is being put in the neighborhood. And like I said, it's already enough with the school, the hospital, both schools, the elementary school, the high school, the hospital. There's so much. And like I said, I just hope I'm not rear-ended for a third time. Because one of the rear ends, the guy says, and this was in the morning during school, he wasn't paying attention because he was looking over at the property. And then the other one, I don't know what happened, but I was rear-ended pretty good. And I'm still dealing with it. So, and one day I looked in my rearview mirror and I continued. I didn't even pull in my driveway because the guy was right. Like, I just feel if they put 2 more houses, people are going to be not even paying attention. If an accident happens, I can see it coming. I really can. So, like noise, the management, other than that, I really can't think of anything. But
Nothing left?
I can't think of anything else. Those are my concerns.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you very much. Anybody else would like to speak to this one?
Hi, good evening. I'm Marion Wilson, and I am in a butter. I live at 5 Surfside Road on the corner of Vesper and Surfside. I too have concerns. My main concern is the increased density and safety issues. With the plan drawn as it is and the 4 spaces there, it is going to be tight for those cars, trucks, whatever they might be, to turn around and pull nose out onto Surfside Road. Safety, I'm always concerned about the school, the kids, the crosswalks, and the bike path. My son is 14, and on any given day, I'll walk home and there's 5 bikes in my yard because the boys are zipping in and out of the Surfside driveway. A few years ago when we were constructing our cottage, I had a special permit approved to add a curve cut on Vesper Lane so that I could make that my primary driveway to help alleviate some of the parking and traffic on Surfside when you come around that corner. Everyone's been through it. So I try to do my part and encourage people to park on the Vesper side as well. If the 2 additional dwellings are approved and there are then up to 5 bedrooms on that property, I guess my concern is I would say that it would be okay perhaps to do 5 parking spaces, but I think 8 is not even feasible. I just don't see how there could be room for it. I think that's really it. Like the others, I'd love to see the project successfully move along to completion as soon as possible. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Richard?
Yes, my name is Rich DeRider. I live at 15 Surfside Road. As you know, you all drive by that property all the time. What it looked like there all year long. And then they brought in a couple truckloads of loam, and they assured us that there was going to be a lawn planted there. And these A couple of guys come, they spread the loam all over the yard. No grass, not one grass seed was planted. It was all weeds and crap grass that grew in. So my question is, what is that place going to look like? She said they got beautiful trees and beautiful bushes. And that, when you put a project in and you put all those things in, they are nice. But if things aren't maintained, can you imagine what that property is going to look like? That's a pretty nice looking neighborhood. At least I like to think so where I live and the houses next to me. But I don't believe that with all those people living in there, that place is going to be kept properly. They never cut the grass all summer long. They just let it grow. They had 3 young ladies go in there a few days before this meeting and rake everything up to make it look nice, but that was probably so that when they came here and spoke tonight, they had something that, it looked better. But my concern is really, what is that neighborhood going to look like after all those people move in on that tiny lot? I'm not going to hold up your time anymore, but that's my concern.
Thank you. Hold on, Ann. Anybody else like to speak at the moment?
Can I respond to the landscaping questions? With regards to the landscaping, we did bring in the loam. We were advised by our GC that we shouldn't put down grass seed because there was still some plumbing work that was finishing up and electrical work. So he said to wait, which we did. And then I talked to Seth at Waterworks about doing the spray seeding, and he told me it was too late, and so he advised us to wait. And then also we plan to break ground for these 2 buildings in January, February, as soon as this permitting process moves along, as soon as we get the permits. And, but we do plan on putting grass there. That is what's going on. Those are mature trees, and so we have Dutra Designs that is not because of this meeting that they went over there. This is the end of our project, so we had the landscapers go over there and clean up the site because we'd like the tenants to move in soon.
Okay, from between now and the next meeting, some of the things that have been brought up, I don't know how the rest of the board feels, but I think we need a little bit of a management plan, at least stated on the record for the people who aren't familiar with the other 40 units that you have. I think you need to deal with the pet issue. I think you need to explain the drainage. I think you need to come up with a screening plan, a planting plan, a construction plan, so the neighbors are well versed in what is going to be going on there and what hours they're going to take place, not on Thanksgiving, not on Sundays. I can give you that right now. Whether you are agreeing to put up the fence between you and the riders.
Parking site plan?
Yeah, the site plan goes without saying. How's that going to work? The turnaround. Hours of construction, I think I said that. Various things like that have to be addressed or at least put on the record so we know what's happening. And I don't know how anybody feels. I know it's always been planned to be 4 units, 4 small units. Come up with how many people on the property, how many cars are allowed on the property at any given time, no parking on the bike path, all this stuff that's going to make this palatable and actually physically work. Also, if this doesn't work, the planning board you heard earlier can open any special permit when there's a complaint made or there's a problem arises with anything. And we can revisit we can revisit the whole thing. So just keep that in mind. Anything else you wanted to consider between now and then? I was thinking maybe they do a 3rd one and not a 4th one until we see how it works. But that would be, there's an economy of scale if they do 2 at one time. Because the people are already on the property.
I did want to ask one question.
Yeah.
Is there such thing as a temporary CO?
No. Yes. They've given them.
There is. So they could get people moving into there? Because if all it is the apron, it seems like that would qualify. No, I'm not saying that we can require that. I just was wondering if you would try for that, it might.
Yeah.
What?
No, they don't do those for this.
Well, my understanding was that Victor was going to
give his assurance to the building inspector that he would have it done by Thanksgiving, and that was supposed to move the permit
That'll be
along
fine.
that way.
And that'll be our next meeting.
Through you, Madam Chair.
Yep.
Ann, excuse me.
Yes.
Has there been consideration for maybe to combine both the single units into one unit? To maybe, we're only talking about 2 bedrooms right now. Instead of having 2 separate dwellings, have one dwelling, maybe the cost would be a lot less, and also you might be able to consolidate and move that building closer to the left, which might add some more parking, or at least turnaround ratios to design the
You
parking.
talking about a duplex?
No, I'm
That's-
just
you're
saying a
You're
single
talking about a
family with 2
two-bedroom.
bedrooms.
Yeah, we have considered that, and we can actually put 5 dwellings on this site. So the
I don't wanna
reason why.
maximize- we're
No, I
working with
understand.
what we're looking at, 5 bedrooms.
I understand. So, well, it's 5 units. 5 units. 8 up to 8 bedrooms is what I
2
understand.
bedrooms every 2,500 square feet. Yeah.
So we have considered the 3 units. So 1 2-bedroom unit. But because we'd like to provide more housing to meet the extreme housing demand that's out there, we decided to do the 2 units. And also, it was one of the conditions of our receipt from the Affordable Housing Trust Fund was that we would maximize the lot. We have plans that say 5 dwellings, so that's what we were told to do, and so we're trying to meet that.
Right. And I think that's all well and good when we look and talk about things that haven't been constructed yet, but now we're seeing the residents and concerns and parking and the location, and I'm not looking to, we're looking at one unit right now, where we have 2 single family units, each with 1 bedroom. So we're still technically going to have the same bedrooms. We're just going to consolidate it into one.
Right,
single
but that would
family
only
unit.
meet one household's
Correct.
need.
Right.
Rather than 2.
Right. I understand.
Yeah, we have about 60 people waiting for 1 bedrooms, 60 households. And every single day, there's more people coming in looking for applications.
Yep. Go to the thing.
Just had a question as far as if there's people going into the existing cottages, how is that going to work when you've got families living there and then you're building the other 2? When you've got people living there and then you're going to have the construction trucks, landscaping trucks, et cetera, et cetera. There's not a lot of landscaping there. When we went to the zoning board, that was one of the issues, that this had to be landscaped. There had to be some shielding from the bike path and the neighbors. Everything that we fought so hard for to make this a livable situation with the zoning board got pulled because they withdrew these 2 cottages because they ran out of money. And we were all sent a letter saying everything we fought for was now null and void because those 2 cottages weren't going in. Now here we are a year later, and they're going in, and it's like starting from square one again. It's like this is all, Ann's heard this all before from us. This is not new. But I'm really wondering how this is going to work traffic-wise with school in session, with people living there. I drive by every day, and they have the construction trucks parked facing that end cottage. And I don't know how you're going to have people living there, parking, and you're going to be building the other 2 cottages at the same time.
Well, they need to come up with
happen.
They need to do a management plan, or how is this going to play out?
Well, we sat at the zoning board, and the zoning board said a year ago, you need a site manager, you need a management plan, you need a general manager to manage this project. And it didn't happen. And like I said, we all know what type of show this has been for the past year. And everything we fought for and everything that was said in that zoning board meeting went right out the window, and nothing has happened. Ann had this great idea that she was going to plant blueberry and blackberry bushes, and everybody could go out there and commune with each other and pick berries. And now
Right,
we've
Sally,
got,
we got to keep going.
we've got no foliage going on. We got no screening. We have nothing blocking the bike path and hiding the view.
We got that, and all that's got to be addressed between now and December 11th, which is when this will come back up. There's a lot of questions. They'll be condensed for Ann over the next couple of days and come back with something that makes sense to all you guys. That's what I was saying to Ann, is that because of the length of time this has taken, because of the blight on the landscape, because nobody's in them for so many years, regardless of what mitigating factors are involved, we all still saw it every single day, because I go to Surfside, I go to my house, past it every day. So there is a lot of skepticism, a lot of distrust involved with this, and we're going to have to make this all palatable to everybody, yourselves, financially, the neighborhood, and the board. So we have to come up with something between now and December 11th so we can get this put to bed, at least to most people's satisfaction. Does anybody else have anything to add?
Did you want something to add? No.
Leslie, Andrew, anything to add? Holly? Okay. If there's nothing further on this one at the moment.
Motion. Go ahead.
Motion continued to December 11th.
Second.
Okay, Nat's made a motion to continue. The public hearing is still open.
Yep.
So public comment can be made at that time. But Nat's made a motion, Barry seconded, to continue to December 11th, 6 o'clock, same room. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Can we take a short break? Oh, my legs are killing me.
What happened to this?
We're going to take a really short break.
5 minutes?
5 minutes.
I'm recused from that. It's 4.
You are? Okay.
Come on, Joe.
Okay.
Equator,
Is this how you get to escape?
54, 50.
Well, Kuwait will be the fastest.
Rachel,
That'll be the fastest covenant.
and Greg one. I didn't know I was at Greg one. Oh, the covenant pool? That was easy.
That's already set up for it. It's already ready to go.
Mine should be easy.
Goes north down an apple.
Wow. You never know what. I gotta tell you, I get rushed along, but we talked about retirement.
So I figured rather than speak.
You were killing it the first half. Well, make it late.
You're going to get from Catherine or from Ms. Beck.
Well, I'll see what, I'll go with
Five should address that. So that we can presentation. All diverse group. Speak from our perspective. I'm sure that our neighborhood is to try to
Yeah, they said they told us that it's more
the price tag. Yeah, the price tag was out of sight.
Yeah, but the
Seriously.
speed.
Well, speed, yeah. I was just saying again that I was going to make a little spiel, sharing our experience over the last 1.5 years with the neighborhood, because it's been a struggle for us.
But your road's a toilet. That's all going to
No,
get
I'm
fixed.
talking
They
about-
got curbs sticking out all over the place.
Yeah, no. You might have.
Hi. Good.
Yeah, you can stick around. Yeah.
Okay. So we'll prepare a presentation. Yeah. Members of our Paul Wolf will be here to make a presentation to address the neighborhood concerns. I was just saying to him that I had prepared some words from our perspective over the last 2.5 years as a builder, my 42nd year. This has been a project. Every single hurdle that you would never anticipate came before us, and it started out by trying to do the right thing for the town, engaging the reporter. It got us so over our heads that it would have completely broken the bank. Meanwhile, we spun our wheels in a lot of directions, and then just one thing after the next. In each case, we did the right thing. We didn't try to skirt around with the sewer. We did the right thing for us as an arm and a leg, but it's the right thing to do for us as a neighbor. And every step down the road, what I wanted to say, but it would completely fall on deaf ears tonight. It's been an incredible endurance test for us. In the end, it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be phenomenal. It's going to be really attractive. It's going to be very neighborhoody for the context. And all the eggs that the people are enduring right now and obsessing over stuff that's right in the plate will dissipate. And it'll be a really, really great neighborhood. So, and there's a bit of a stigma.
What are you doing? You should talk about what's immediately around. You're doing a nice job taking How many bedrooms? Well, you can get it.
And that's something you should find.
Clearly, the takeaways, get in, quick and clean, get a bill, tight management, get it back. Guys, this is what you do. So it's a learning experience.
So we're working on then we can detail tonight.
I've been involved in that type of stuff before. You know, you're making sausage. It's like when it goes out a long time, it starts to smell. I would like to see, as a member, I don't know if I'll be voting, depending on if somebody gets have one spot for one. And, you know, well, look, I understand the neighbors. I understand that frustration. You know what I mean? Like, if I lived next door, I'd be really frustrated. And they brought up... Yeah. Are you going to be able to squeeze a fence out of that?
Yes.
I throw that right up front. No, I mean in the discussion. It's important to be able to show people. Because, you know, people made a point. It makes sense. She made the point. It made sense. Is that people got to make these
You got it. And they said just 650 square feet. He's going to have to deal with that vestibule wherever. All we're approving is 650 square feet. It has to meet the code. Yes.
They're frustrated. Yeah, but they live next door.
Sully's here. No, I did it on the next floor.
Oh, okay. No, I know, no, that's what I just wanted to see, because I thought I remember seeing your name.
This is new. All right, let's go.
I really rather less.
I just, when you mentioned that.
All right, gang, let's get going. Well, no, the heat goes off at 8 o'clock, and now we're going to freeze, so be prepared.
Did you
All
bring
right.
your favorite steaks with you?
Holly, Leslie, Andrew, wherever.
We'll be in a minute.
Okay.
Sure.
We're going to
We can continue.
regroup, and I see you're already ready.
Whenever you are.
Yeah. This is simple. Keep it short.
I hope so.
Jonathan, Amanda Mason, Ada Quaker Drive, secondary lot covenant.
Jesse Brescia for
Covenant
the
lot.
applicant. It's pretty straightforward. We don't need any waivers. Everything appears to
already
meet
built for it.
the
Yeah.
zoning, the requirements. So if there's questions, I'm here to answer them, but hopefully it should be pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Catherine, Joe is recused. David, that means you're going to be sitting like for the next half hour.
All right. Oh, that's right.
Anybody have any comments?
No.
No.
Anybody in the public have any comments about this? Somebody make a motion.
Make a motion to close public hearing.
All right, Nat made a motion to close the public hearing. Is there a second? John seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, somebody want to make a motion?
Make a motion to approve the covenant lot.
Just say second.
I'll second it.
Nat made the motion, John seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
That was unanimous, Catherine?
Thank you.
Okay, Brian Sullivan and Helene Blair. Who's, Dan, is that you?
Brian Sullivan, applicant. Dan's going to make the presentation.
Okay.
Yep, Dan Malloy for the applicant.
And David's on this one also?
Yes.
Joe is recused from this one too? Catherine? Okay.
Okay, so you have a 3-lot A&R proof plan or subdivision concept proof plan in front of you in R20 zoning. The intent of the special permit is a rear lot. It's in the R20 zoning district. So the proof plan showed that there were 3 lots, so now we're looking at the rear lot proposed A&R plan. You have 3 lots, one on the left, one on the right, that contain, the 2 existing lots contain all of the existing dwellings, the proposed vacant lot all the way in the back. So you'd have 3 lots. The rear lot would be accessed by a driveway coming down centrally located in the property. The existing house on the left would maintain its current driveway off Hummock Pond Road. The property on the right has an access right now driveway that comes in right off the intersection with the new driveway in Hummock Pond Road. So all the existing site features are intended to remain with an eventual building out back.
Is this one, Leslie, that needed to do a proof plan first?
The proof plan was part of your application
It's in there.
package. Dan
Yeah.
just went over
I
it.
just didn't see it, just for the
Yeah,
people
it's right.
to
The
see
proof
it.
plan's right there.
Okay.
So 3-lot proof plan, no waivers required.
All righty. Anybody have any comments up here?
Yeah.
My comment would be that probably, I don't like the driveway, the road, and the Hummock Pond Road lot there being so close together.
You mean the existing one?
The existing.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think they should all come off the new road.
New driveway.
Here's the only reason I don't have a problem with that, is that they're eliminating, there's 2 driveways there now, one for Paul and one for the other one,
Oh.
and they're close together, and they're eliminating one and just moving it over 10 feet, so there's still 2.
But if we could have one, it'd be better.
Yeah.
Now's the opportunity to do that.
I'm not as concerned about that, Barry.
I have to agree with David, though. I think that when we start looking at these things, we've come up with certain design criteria that we like to see. And granted, these are new for us, but I think that was kind of one of the concepts we had, was to pull everything within the lot lines that are available to us to work with. So, again, I have to agree with him. I'd like to see everything, all the driveways brought inside. Now, in relation to this, what's the concepts of what we're looking at on each lot?
Well, right now, the lot on the right with the 3 buildings on it, it's got a primary dwelling, it's got a garage, and it's got a secondary.
Yep.
That lot in of itself is, for the most part, built out. The lot on the left with the large existing dwelling on it, so there's one dwelling there.
Right.
There is theoretically,
in the wrong
you
place.
have second dwellings, tertiary dwelling possibilities over there from a zoning perspective, in terms of what would fit. And the rear lot, obviously, it's vacant, so that, again, has potential for a primary, secondary, tertiary.
Okay. So you're convincing me even more to pull everything into that area. That's a little dense, though, but I hear what you're saying at this point.
The lot on the right, I think once the new driveway is built to access the rear, that will all be brought together naturally. We're not going to be able to have 2 driveways within 3 feet of each other.
I understand that.
So that will happen. So you're talking about the existing house on the left?
Correct.
Looking to get that driveway tied in as well?
Yes, sir.
It's paved, too.
I know, but here you go again. This is when we have opportunities to do things that may be a little bit more beneficial.
All right, Nat, do you have a concern with that?
I mean, this is part of this article that we should have done 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It allows, gives them a benefit. And I'm thinking about Cliff Road, what we just went through with those squiggly, jiggly driveways that we just dealt with for a year. I mean, the house on the left is in the wrong place, as usual in Nantucket. So you got to pick it up and move it to make the lot work. So that's probably going to stay like that for a long time.
You don't know that.
They're not moving that house.
So, I mean, have we looked at this, Dan, to just eliminate that curb cut and just sort of make the dirt come back to life and
And
go
we
in
could.
from
The intention
inside?
was to leave the house on the left essentially intact as it is.
Yeah.
What I'd offer possibly as an option,
If I may, when the lines were drawn, it was to meet all of the setbacks and the footprint requirements for all the existing structures that are there.
Right.
So there wouldn't be any need to change anything, basically.
We think about curb cuts. Forget about all the other stuff. We think about cars coming in and out in two different places. That's what we're talking about.
Could I propose that if the one on the left were to stay, to merge the 2 on the right and make those accessed off of one driveway, and then have any driveway change conditional upon the building permit on the back lot? Because ultimately, if we're not going to change anything now, why disturb it and change anything now? But when we pull a building permit, then do one driveway where there is one. Did that make sense?
Trying to figure out what you said.
What he's saying is what I said
driveway
earlier.
that's on 54, if we have that side access the back lot and the
one on the
54
right.
lot,
Yeah.
so we use one driveway for 2 lots and one
Well,
driveway
I figured
for
that's
one
what you
lot.
were doing anyway. You were already doing that, right? You're using the new driveway for the the built-out lot and the new lot, correct?
I don't know that it was necessarily drawn that way, but yeah.
Well,
but it's one curb cut.
Say
yeah.
yes,
It
Shelley.
is.
Yeah.
Well, you already have
Yes.
that curb cut now. I understand, and you're theoretically just modifying it a little bit. But you're going to access the 2 other lots with the new driveway. I mean, it's really not new, but it's
Yeah, so
shown
if you
on
want to
the
do
plan.
one curb cut for the 3 lots, I would request that the giving up the curb cut existing be conditional on the last lot getting a building permit.
Okay.
I don't necessarily want to go and recut the
No,
driveways today.
I see what you're saying now.
And
didn't
spend the
happen.
money, but
Yeah.
if we start to
Okay.
do something
'Cause then
back
you have
there,
no
let's do
access.
it.
Oh, okay. I
When we
thought
get
it
a
was just
building
going to
permit.
happen
I understand what you're
automatically. I see what you're saying now.
Yeah.
Okay. So
John?
conditional on the permit, we get rid of that driveway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, conditional on the
That's
back
totally
lot
fine.
getting a permit.
You've already
Yeah,
addressed my
that's
concern.
easy. That's simple. I didn't understand that. That's
That
not how
work?
you said it at the beginning.
All right, everybody else seems to be okay with that.
Yep.
Yeah, and I mean, I all of a sudden I can rationalize
Makes
that to a
sense
certain
now.
extent because you are going to max this out. Let's be serious, and one of the things we've
Not
looked
this
at
one.
before.
No way.
Well, all right, no. as he put it, don't say he's not going to do something unless you have it in
No,
writing.
I meant.
Okay, let's stop all the side comments here.
But, yeah, thank you. So, but I guess what I'm saying to you is you are going to maximize the all 3 lots at this point with primary, secondary, tertiary dwellings, right?
Maybe.
I don't have any plan today to do anything.
All right, but so, well, then
The
dumb
zoning
question-
code would allow that.
And it does, and here we are at this point, so, but I'm not hearing you say anything that you're not going to do anything.
I
So-
have no plans to do anything. I don't want to put the driveway in because I don't want to pull a building permit.
Now, I understand that, but what I'm saying to you is that we certainly have, with the ones that we've had before us at this point, we certainly do look at density as well, too, as part of it. Without something in writing from you as the applicant to say that, then this board has to believe that all 3 has the potential to be built out at some point in time. That's just simple. Even though you can say, well, that's not going to happen. Boy, have I sat on this board so many times where I've heard, that's not going to happen today, and a few years later it gets sold off, something else happens, and it does happen.
All right, very good. I think we have a solution.
No, this answer's good.
The applicant is willing.
Yeah, but I just...
I think
We
we're
got
on
a
the
long
same
night
page.
Yeah.
I know, and I do want to be brief, but, you know, when you guys are just sitting there nodding your head up and down saying, well, okay, we got it, nothing's going to happen, come on.
No,
I
that's
didn't
not
go
what
down
I
that
said.
road. None of us
Come
went
on.
down that
I
road.
meant
Well,
that what he's
well.
saying is
It's not happening right
simple solution to what we originally asked for.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
So the condition would be that upon the pulling of a building permit for the back lot, that lot on the left with a single-family dwelling would have its driveway rearranged so it comes off the
Yes.
road.
Yeah, all 3 lots would be serviced by one
By one
driveway
easement
at
right up the
issuance
middle.
of a building permit
Yep.
for
Yeah.
the rear lot.
Does that make sense,
Yep.
Andrew, Leslie?
Perfect.
Okay. Any other comments from the board? Any other comments from the public? Hearing none.
Makes a motion to close the public hearing.
Okay, Nat made a motion to close the public hearing. Is there a second? David seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, somebody make a
Thank you.
motion with that condition.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, John made the motion with that condition.
Second.
All right, Nat seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
David and Jane Visco, Patrick McGloin, Geraldine Walker, Rachel Drive, Andrew Leslie. You wanted to put this in a nutshell real quick, because they did exactly what we told them to do.
Yep.
You may recall a few meetings ago, the Viscos came in. They were seeking a subdivision modification to the Rachel Drive subdivision. An abutting property owner came in and expressed interest in also subdividing their property. The direction from the board was for the 2 of them to work together. That's what they've done. They've now come in with a single subdivision plan modifying the Rachel Drive subdivision. What now is a hammerhead terminus for the roadway will become a cul-de-sac, and each of the lots at the end of Rachel Drive will be divided into 2. So where there are 2 lots, now they're proposing a total of 4.
And it's 1 acre zoning now. Anybody have
Yes.
any questions about this?
And it's a real lot instead of a road.
Stephen, you're on this. Joe is still accused. Anybody? You just hang out back there, Joe. We'll get to you. Anybody have any comments from the board?
No.
Yeah, I have a question. The driveway layout, those are obviously existing, but is that how it's proposed, or I'm just curious? And if so, will you need an easement across lot 2 for lot 1?
Dan Malloy for the applicant. Yeah, so right now it's all common ownership, so there's no easement required. If in fact some point one of the lots is sold, then they'll have to either construct a new driveway down the neck or grant an easement over it.
Thanks, Dan.
Okay, no more questions up here? Any questions from the audience, neighbors? Okay, ready?
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Okay. Barry made a motion to close the public hearing. Nat seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Somebody want to make a motion?
Motion. Go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead.
Make a motion to approve.
Okay. Nat's made a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Stephen seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, Merlos. I'm going to have to recuse from this one.
And you're recused too, sir?
Yeah, so I guess that means both.
That
of
means
you.
I'm going to bring...
Wow.
Yeah.
How often does that happen? I'm coming back here with you.
Okay. All right, so for 8617 Merle's Landscaping LLC, 8B Grigland Ave.
Yeah, I'm TJ Watterson for the applicant, and we're basically, we've got a steel storage container out there now, which is over the southerly lot setback. And number one, we want to get it as a permitted use, and number two, we propose it to be within the buildable zone, as shown on my site plan there.
Anything else?
That's it.
All right. Board members, any questions at this point? Anything from staff?
We got it
Leslie, Andrew?
last town meeting, right?
The only
Setback.
thing I would suggest a condition that the storage container be screened from the abutting property.
Okay.
Okay. I think it already is. There's a, we went to HGC and got they actually approved us a 7-foot board fence along that property line, which I think he's already installed.
Was there anything else? No. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing. If anyone would like to comment on this. Okay. Seeing no comments at this point.
Motion to close.
Okay. Do I hear a second? Motion's now made and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
No.
Those opposed? Ayes have it unanimous. That's a 5-0 vote by this board. And pleasure of the board.
Make a motion to approve the use of the container.
Yep. Do I hear a second?
A second.
Motion's now made and seconded. Discussion.
With the
condition of the
with
screening.
The condition, yeah, with the condition of screening. Sorry, thank you. Motion's now made and seconded. Is there any further discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have unanimously. Thank you. All right, you're back.
Okay. We sort of knew about these at the last meeting because they didn't get their application in for a building permit on time before the freeze period on Coffin's Pit. So we got Arrowhead Drive subdivision, and you might as well take them both at the same time, Arthur.
Yeah, we should take them both together. And actually, let me talk about the second one on the agenda first, the 7917. This is not an amendment, contrary to what the report says, to the previously granted special permit. That special permit is actually obsolete now because it referred to the prior zoning, the prior RC2 zoning of the property. The planned freeze of that has run out.
Yep.
Under the old zoning, under the RC2 zoning, the proposed warehousing and storage use was required a special permit. The two apartments that were proposed were a permitted use as a duplex. That zoning expired because, as you said, the building permit was not able to be obtained prior to the expiration of the appeal period from the special permit. So the result is that we're now in CI zoning, and the legal status has flip-flopped. The commercial use is now a permitted use. The residential use now requires a special permit for apartments. One apartment per 5,000 square feet, and we have 10,000 square feet, so we're applying for a special permit for the two apartments. Meanwhile, because we're now in CI, we have a 10-foot rear yard setback where it was 5 feet in RC2. So we've adjusted the plan, and we brought that before you actually at the last meeting in the context of the prior application, but this now stands on its own as the site plan as it's now proposed for the new special permit, which involves complying with the rear yard setback, and as a byproduct of that, we wind up now complying as far as open space is concerned. We now have our 20% of open space. One of the parking spaces is now moved inside the building. And the result is that we now need a special permit, as I say, for the 2 apartments upstairs. Even though we no longer need a special permit for the commercial use, all the work has been done in connection with that, including a lot more review than would have gone into it as a permitted use, because it required a special permit, and we're going to build it exactly the way it was approved under that permit, even though that's no longer anything that we have to rely upon. So we're asking for a special permit, as I say, for the apartment. We're not asking for any relief other than that, because no other relief is needed. The other part of the picture is that, as we mentioned before, there's a provision in the original Arrowhead Drive decision which for some reason says that if a project, regardless of the number of lots that are being used in connection with it, is all being done as part of the same project, that it's limited to 1 apartment. And that's even though there are 2 lots involved in this. We know that you've waived that in one previous occasion. It seems to me that providing apartments, particularly when we know that they're going to be used for employees, is something that should be encouraged, not discouraged. And we therefore are asking that that condition be removed as far as this project is concerned. I think that covers it.
Covers both of them?
Yes.
Okay. Does anybody have any comments, questions?
No.
Anybody in the public have any comments? Go for it.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
On both of them? Right, both of them?
Oh, are we doing both?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Can we do that, Andrew? We can do that?
If your motion says so, yes.
Yeah, a motion to close both public hearings then.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
John Trudell seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Now, vote on the first one, then vote on the second one.
Yes.
Bless you.
Sorry.
Somebody making a motion on
Yeah, go ahead.
8168 Arrowhead Drive?
Confusing. Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve that,
Okay.
the 8168.
Barry, second?
Yeah, I'm going to second it.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Then we have Kevin Jones, Spearhead Trust, same group.
I'll make a motion to approve 79-17.
Okay, Barry?
And I'll second it.
Barry seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okey dokey.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, I hate to have you guys sitting here for Richmond,
But that's what they're here for.
but this isn't reopening the whole thing. What this is purely a technical amendment, because we haven't signed the plans and all the rest of it. It goes right along with the plans that you guys have already seen. No changes whatsoever. But there's this mumbo jumbo we got to go through to get, so we can sign the plans. Leslie, do you want to explain what these are?
All right, and I'm going to recuse from
You're
this.
going to, Barry's recusing? I'm sure you guys have been thoroughly entertained by this evening.
Madam Chairman, do you want to
Yep.
talk about Cedar Crest 1 and 3 together? Because it's
They're
really
the same
the
thing.
same thing.
So just go ahead.
Okay, so the modification to Cedar Crest 3 and the modification to Cedar Crest 1 would release the lots and the portions of those roadways that are now subject to the Sandpiper 1 and 2 subdivisions. And then it would allow that land to officially become part of that other subdivision. So it's extremely technical. It allows the completion of the subdivisions that were already approved by the board, and we recommend approval.
Do you guys have any questions about this? It's cutting off the heads of those cul-de-sacs and sort of validating the changes to the subdivision so the roads can be laid out the way we've all talked about it. I had a bunch of calls and emails from people and text messages. Are the roads coming through again? No, nothing is changing. We're actually cutting off the ability to come through there on Mayflower and the end of Daffy's. Those are the two. So we just have to validate it so we can actually sign something, because we haven't signed anything yet. Any questions from the board members?
I'm good.
David, you're on. Any more questions from you guys, or? Yep.
Scott Allen from 25B Daffodil Lane. We knew that that was what was happening. I guess we were coming to sort of talk about the physicality of cutting that off and how that's happening currently. We've talked with Patty, and Dave didn't come over the day we spoke with her, but there's just nothing there now.
Yet.
The road just ends. And there's nothing. There's no fencing, there's no trees, there's no nothing.
There's certainly no trees.
So I guess there's a lack of that.
Yeah.
We've all talked about driving around the school and the hospital recently. I'm looking at major commercial developments happening, and there's fencing around everything, and it's lit up like a Christmas tree. And this development is not like that. And I realize it's different because they've got roads going through it and new roads going in, but I feel like we need to do a little better about buffering us from what is going to be happening and is currently happening. And all we've done at this point is extract the buffering.
Do you have any plans to sort of protect that end, Dave, while you're doing the roads and
timetable?
Just something more immediate to cut off the end so people aren't getting crazy out there.
Sure. Thank you, Madam Chairman. Dave Arminetti, Director of Real Estate Development for Richmond and Richmond Great Point Development. We do, as everybody knows, in some ways things are moving fairly quickly out there in terms of getting to the next step of pre-construction and site work. In some ways they're not. As relates specifically to where the Mayflower and Daffodil cul-de-sacs are in that area, one of the reasons we haven't been able to implement as much protection and move as quickly as we'd hoped is the National Grid process. We have to pull back, in particular, the electrical utilities from the cul-de-sacs and down the roads a couple hundred feet. And unfortunately, the transformers that serve those ends of the streets are in the bulbs of the cul-de-sacs. And I will say National Grid is doing the best they can between staffing and storms and all the stuff that you guys hear about all the time to get out there. Certainly, Jim Huxley and all the staff is doing their best. There's a ton of projects going on across the island, as this board is well aware of. We're in the queue. We're as close to the top of the line as we can get, and they've assured us that they'll get out there as soon as they can. We offered to even have our contractors do it to speed things up, and of course that breaks all the National Grid rules you could ever imagine, and that got denied quite quickly. So we're doing what we can. I think as soon as those utilities get pulled back, we'll be able to seal up that end of the site, for lack of a better phrase, much better, and we'll continue to work with the Cedar Crest 3 neighborhood to do that as soon as we can.
So you're making the representation now that once those utilities are out of there in the cul-de-sacs, that you will make it secure at the end of those roads?
Yeah, on a temporary basis. And then, of course, as the homeowners and the trust and certainly the officers are aware, we made a commitment to permanently fence that area once the full development's in.
Okay.
Dave Small, I'm on the Homeowners Association trustees. Just so you are aware, we're conditionally in support of their requests. Obviously we do have a settlement with them, and the removal of these lots is based on that. Our restrictions have not been signed and recorded, and we're still working out some details, just so that you're aware of that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments from anybody? Any more comments from the public?
I'll make
Okay.
a motion to close
both of them.
Both 8169 and 8170.
I'll second it.
Okay. Dave, you're on this, I guess. Can David sit on this? These are subdivisions. No, so it's just the four of us. Yeah, it's just the four of us.
Yeah.
Who made the motion? Yep.
Before you vote, can I just ask one question for clarification through you to the applicant?
Mm-hmm.
What's the time frame on removal of the cul-de-sacs and installing the hammerheads that are shown on the plans?
Well, some of it will depend on National Grid, not to sound like a broken record, but as soon as they get their work done, we'll get our work done, because to balance the site properly, we actually need the dirt under the cul-de-sacs. So as soon as they get out of there, we're going to come right back in and do that. The timing of the turnarounds, I guess, will just depend on the infrastructure and the grading. And once that's all figured out, we'll put those in immediately. I would say, even if it's in the dead of the winter, I'm sure we can put gravel in the meantime, which will satisfy the fire department and the police department in terms of access until we could maybe pave it in the spring.
Okay.
Okay.
Nat made a
So I'll
motion
make-
to close the public
Yeah.
hearing. John seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. You making a
I'll
motion?
make a motion to approve the
8169?
8169 and 8170.
No, 8169.
Oh, we'll do one at a time?
Yep.
Okay.
Is
Approve
John seconded.
8169.
Any
All right.
further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Nat, you
And a
made the same
to
motion.
approve 8170 as modification.
Cedar Crest 1. John, you seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Good job.
All righty. Thank you, guys, for sitting through this.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Is there anything else before we adjourn, guys?
Do you guys have
We just
something?
have a couple of announcements and comments.
quick.
One, don't forget about your special meeting
Thursday at
Upstairs.
6.
6 o'clock
Upstairs.
upstairs. And then I just wanted to let the board know that I know downloading the packet and getting it uploaded in a timely manner has been problematic off and on.
Because they're big.
And other departments with large packets are having similar issues. And I had a conversation with IT today, and they're looking into some solutions that would make it easier for us to get it uploaded and easier for you to download it and view it. So that's something that's being worked on internally.
Well, plus I'd like to thank the staff, Leslie, Holly, Andrew, Catherine. This was a mammoth packet.
It was.
And a lot of stuff
job.
coming at them. Thank you very much. At all hours. Somebody want to make a motion to adjourn at 8:40?
Yeah.
Don't leave because we have to get signatures. Is that your
Second.
motion, Nat?
Yep.
John seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Thought we were going to go to 10 o'clock, did
We
you?
did this already.